didn't hit. It didn't hit the way it did in my head. Which one? Left? Now it's saying bottom left.
Well, I guess we gotta wait for what it
Oh,
looks like.
Chad, this is our left. We can just leave it. We'll see what it looks like.
What's in your heart? What's meant to give?
We performers.
Everything's broken.
Where's this base?
China.
Chasing the wind. On all those scars,
Do you see that?
there's a light.
Chad, you saw it, right? No, they saw it. They said yes.
I missed it.
Make your heart
Hey, they put all out for this. It's so cool.
every scream you cry, where the blood you've given to sing the
JP, what's up?
Thank you, Jade. Ooh, wow, she's such a good singer. I love the floating rock.
New people in the fight, people sub. Kevin
Thank you,
Busty with a
Kev.
sub. Thank you. Oh my god, those are earrings.
Yeah,
Those long ass diamonds.
Falcon's so cool. Did we ever figure out what the drops were? So
They said
curious.
they do have them.
What exactly are the drops? And an emote? It's a badge?
Don't you need ads for drops?
It's a sub badge?
Drop an ad. Go, go, go. Show me attention.
Go, go, go. Thank you, Joshua. It's like in the sky.
That's a pretty cool visual.
It is. Can you see it?
I'm not that
I
drunk.
mean, I feel like you should squint. Does it look clear to you?
It's crystal clear, Ray.
Yeah?
I'm locked.
That's a new champion.
Look at my face.
This one is? New champion? What's his lore? Do you know his lore?
He didn't really give us a
Oh no, he caught.
Frazzle with a 10 gifted and race chat. Star with a sub and race.
Thank you.
T-Berry with a prime in mind.
Thank
Nova
you,
with a sub in
Mishka.
mind.
Thank you, Nova. Thank you, Jacob, for the 5
Jacob with
gifted.
a 5.
Enjoy your badges.
Mr. Big with a 5 gifted.
It looks so good.
Catcher with a prime. Silly with a prime.
Holy.
Anonymous with a sub.
Dude, this is crazy.
I'm locked in, bro.
Whoa!
One thing I can't do.
Hi, Kason.
Typhoon with a 10 gifted. Kason, freak you. Magnum with a sub. Arcane with a sub. Toki Expert with the sub. XG with a 10 gifted. Mikar with the 5 gifted. Cloud with the 5
What,
gifted.
dude?
Trump with the 5 gifted. Nectar with the sub. Oh,
Wow!
sick.
Wait, this is
With the bread with the sub.
dude. That's the goat, the goat of all, the goat. Do you know how much of a goat he is?
Faker? No, Faker's not on there yet. Oh yeah, you're done for. Pack her up. No. Don't say Senna. That was Ray. I knew it wasn't Ray.
Senna!
No. I knew it wasn't Faker, by the way, because I like Faker. I like Faker, by the way. So let's talk about it. Pack her up. I'm not gonna lie. Ray, you're done.
Please don't.
You're done, Ray.
Don't throw me. Don't
It's
throw me.
over.
Don't
You're over.
Don't throw me to the shrimp.
Oh, you're so over, Ray.
Wait, which one?
Okay, there's Baker.
He was to the right. I saw it. No, he was on the right on the wall. He was on the right. That's him.
Yeah, bitch.
First of all,
She's done.
he's still the goat of all time. Okay? No, bitch, you
I don't know
are.
how I'm gonna get that. You're not allowed to yell at me.
First of all,
Talk to your hands.
we
Be silent.
should be civil during this, right? Handshake.
Mel, thank you for some. Jedi Knight, thank
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
That was your greatest bit yet. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh yeah, it was totally a bit. Totally a fucking bit.
That was your greatest. Cassie, thank you for the sub.
Is there another performer? Oh no, this is a.
夜观星
Cassie,
象，
thank you for the sub.
得见天界分野，遂分28星宿。又归
What? I want to see the animation.
You can't see it.
I'm locked.
You can't see it.
I hate looking that way. Yo, milk toe tolerant. I hate your username for the sub.
西方白虎，北方玄女，
Sinna translate.
Thank you,
四
kitten.
象环绕，紫薇其间。
This isn't okay. Paul, thank you
It's
for the
so
sub.
beautiful. That's.
The back says Baker. They swapped him. They literally swapped him.
And you're done.
Hey, you're done.
2 for 2.
They swapped him.
Clock it. They're 2 for 2.
That's him. They swapped him.
That.
Do not
That's him.
gaslight me.
바로 여기서 시작되었습니다.
Oh my god.
What? Was that him without glasses?
2013년
No,
로
that was a
챔피언스
different.
서머
It was
결승전
swapped.
운명을 가른
What?
5세트
통신사 대장 3년도에 KT와 결승에서 플레이를 했을 때는
She said they were swapped.
그렇게까지 많은
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, Ray, you're
줄
cooked.
몰랐는데
Pack it up, Ray.
Sinna, please stop farming me. Please stop. Stop.
It's not
Actually,
me.
Stop.
You literally did.
Stop.
Yo, drum there is sub. King there is sub.
선수가 제대로 플레이하는 모습을
Thank you.
보고, 아 나도 미드라이너로 포지션 변경을 하고 싶다.
Hi,
그런
Rosie.
생각을
Steve, thank you for the sub.
가지고
Hey guys.
Sinna's clip
거기서
farming
제
me.
꿈이 시작됐던 것 같습니다.
Did you just blame me for that?
Stop! Leave her alone.
I made a mistake.
Rap, thank you for the sub. Thank you for the sub.
Audio is delayed compared to the camera.
Nico.
어렸을 때제 꿈은
Nico.
롤드컵으로 처음
We got an audio delay.
Nico.
롤드컵을 우승하는 거였습니다.
1, 2,
롤을
3.
안 할 때에도 LCK 보는 것을
Rosie,
좋아했고
you're like kind of in the way right now.
EDG 전 울프 선수가 라칸 이니시를 보고 와 나도 진짜
16,000 subs.
16K.
Thank you so much.
They said it's fine.
기억나는
Oh, okay. It's not delayed?
We got
Okay.
one guy.
Never mind. Well, there was two guys.
그게 저에게 어떤
원딜을 하게 된 계기?
60K.
그런 생각을 많이 했던 것 같고요.
레거시는
Oh
언제나
my
승리로만
God.
새겨지지는 않습니다. 비록
You
좌절됐던
don't know
월즈
He don't know
세리스의
you.
꿈도 새 시대를 깨우는 영감이 되죠.
페이커 선수가 눈물 흘리는 장면을 라이브로 봤었는데 게임하면서 저런 감정도 느낄 수가 있구나라는 거를 많이 생각해봤었고 그래서 저도 프로게이머로서 그런 감정들을 항상 많이 느껴보고 싶었던 것 같아요.
유사는 때로는 별처럼 무겁습니다.
태어나 있을 때 당시에 외부에 관심이 너무 많다 보니까 그 무게를 견디지 못한 것 같은데 그때 시절이 너무 좀 아쉬운 것 같다고 생각하고 있고요.
첫 데뷔하고
Can we get a lore down?
많은 사람들이 저를 평가할 때
On
Emily,
what
do you,
other?
like, I wanna know about both the teams, like how they got here.
I mean, this kind of is a war dog. It's like going through. This is the war dog.
I'm done drinking for the rest of the week. I'm done. I'm done. Okay,
Oh, and you were saying I'm not lost.
I'm trying so hard to lock in, man.
함께 했는데 같이 결승에 가니까 너무 자랑스럽고 증명할 수 있는 기회가 생긴 것 같아서 너무 기쁩니다.
게임으로 활동을 하다 보면
Thank you, Dylan Mar.
That's good calm jersey.
20대
Thank you,
다른
Rosie.
사람들이 하는 경험들 못한다고 생각을 하는데 희생이 있어야만 위대한 업적을 이룰 수 있다고 생각합니다.
Oh my god, Emily's
롤
sweating.
e스포츠의 수많은 유산들은 한 선수와 깊이 얽혀
Aura,
있습니다.
look at that.
오늘 그는 누구도 이루지 못한
Three Ps!
역사적인 월드
That's 3 in a
시리즈에
row.
도전합니다.
3P.
3 World Championship wins in
8년
a
만의
row.
재도전이죠. 하지만 그에게 앞에는 그에게서 영감을 받고 자라난 선수가 서 있습니다.
3,500이라는 시간 동안 되게 많은 굴곡이 있었던 것 같아요.
Put him in his place, Baker.
So it's the best in the
하지만
world
이제는
versus the one he
눈앞에
inspired.
다가왔다는 게 느껴지는 것 같습니다.
Nah, negative aura.
2013년에 시작된 그들의 운명은
Thanks,
2025년
Anonymous.
월드 챔피언십 결승 통신사 대전에서 결실을 맺습니다.
Oh, look at his glasses. So sick.
롤 e스포츠 15주년
15 years
Of playing League?
15 years of legacy.
of legacies.
All of the shots.
Beardson!
Lay, think of those 30 months.
15
you.
years of
Thank
sacrifices.
you, Benson. Thank you.
tất cả cho một khoảnh khắc.
Next year. Dude, look at that trophy. 100 Thieves! I saw him!
Yeah, there was a burrito eating shot of, but that burrito looked like a hit.
KT의 첫 번째 별을 달아주겠습니다.
Are you watching it this one?
I keep swapping between the two
I don't know which
because
one is better.
I've got a brain for rocks. I've got rocks for brains.
호성이 형에게 빛나는 별을
Because
선물하겠습니다.
it's like small here, but it's closer, and it's bigger over there, but it's farther.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I can't tell if
저희편입니다.
it's.
꿈을 꼭
I know, but then we can't see the chat. I don't want to do that.
원하신다면 저에게서 벤치해야 할 겁니다.
Shut up. Everyone needs to leave Ray alone.
Wait, why?
I said I have a brain for rocks. Cause it's been a fucking rough night, bro.
Oh, you said brain for all.
Brain for rocks, my goat.
Okay, those chairs are cool.
They're cool.
1 second.
Oh, okay.
That is a sick trophy.
Thank you, Vamavi, for the gifted. You can't deny it's been a really long day. You guys can't deny how long. It's been a very big day today. It's so big. And we drank alcohol at 2 separate times. Wait, did we drink alcohol?
Yes.
Yes, we did. And that was today. And then, even more, like, what are we doing? A tailgate?
I'm not gonna lie.
What are we doing?
Today I told you we had to rally. You did really good. You rallied. It was hard.
Thank you. Thank you.
It was hard.
Thank you. I tried for you. I really did. And I only complained a little bit.
That is true. You did be good.
Wait. Okay. So, Emily.
Yeah.
Can you explain why they chose these bands?
Bard's OP, Nico is stupid, he just turned into another champion, and it's really hard to see, and also SPP is really good on Nico
With
support. Nico support, specifically.
Are there no casters?
And then Oriana and Azir, wait, they banned their own, wait.
Chat, Nico's fixing it. Oh, because the casters are muted in the show. Oh. The casters are muted.
Did they mute themselves, or?
Well, this is so you guys can talk about it.
Whoa!
Chat, wait.
We have a special feed.
So they muted the casters for us, so we have a special feed just so we. Oh my God! Wait, I'll cast.
Dude.
All right.
Oh.
There's a furry squirrel that was picked.
Wait,
and a giant ape with some armor. There's a girl, or a guy with some feathers.
Okay, that's
Okay.
Talia has been picked. Varus has been picked. On the other side,
I've seen.
Rise just got picked. Rumble was picked, and Wukong was picked.
Right, I'm seeing a guy that he has tentacles for a beard. Is that what I'm seeing?
That's Rise.
He's
That's not
bald.
tentacles.
Oh, is that just his beard?
That's just his beard.
It just looks like that?
Yes.
Okay, he's a little chopped, but it's fine.
Emily,
There's another guy in there
Emily,
with
I feel
long
like
hair,
you
a
should come
silver
up
streak.
here.
He's, I don't know what he does, but that's Faker's goat.
Sibel. Shut the fuck up. Okay, Emily, I'm serious. I don't know why Riot gave us the rights to do this. I feel like you should help us cast.
I feel like I was doing a great job.
You're like, there was a guy with feathers, and one with a scarf, and one with eyes.
But that's the beauty of it, Ray. You know what I mean?
The beauty of casting. Okay, here, Emily, you sit. We need 3 chairs. Here, I got one.
We can go
You
get.
sit right
Oh,
here.
another one.
Wait, don't you want the night one?
No, you sit here.
The nice one?
I got this one.
Okay. Let's get in here.
Okay.
Okay, that is Wukong. He's a monkey king. That is Rumble. He's like a little guy that sits on a robot with flamethrowers and he goes he like shoots at him, right? This is Rise. He is like a mage guy. He's a mid laner. This is most likely their top laner. That's most likely their jungle, but we don't know yet. They could pull out anything because it's Worlds. They're trying to make these guys go like, what the fuck is going on? So that's Talia. She throws rocks at people, basically.
Right.
That's Varus. He's really hot.
I do think
And he's an
attractive.
He's like an archer. He like, that's Zin's out. He's like the main character of this season. You just saw him. So you just saw that like big performance, and then you saw like a guy explode into like blossoms. That's him. Then that's Poppy.
Poppy's OP.
Poppy is super.
Poppy's so good.
I play Poppy jungle, but she's not a jungler.
Okay.
Why
Not
do you play
always.
her for a jungle?
People play her support because you can like hit them into the walls and then they're perma-stun. I play her as a jungle just because I'm griefing.
Well, why would you do that?
Because I hate my teammates. That's Azir. Faker's really freaking good at that champion. Same with Oriana. Azir is also
So
hot.
they ban Faker's champs?
They're gonna end up banning like they're gonna have some target bans. Like this Nico is a target ban because Keria is really good at like Keria did some like insane play in one of the earlier games where he like went into Nico, W'd, and then just like didn't move, so he faked them out and then he ulted like their main carry and like killed the crap out of them. And that was in a 5, I think that was in a best of 5. And they got to the 5th game and just like ugh.
Thank God you're here. Because
We did not need to.
Huh? Well, like,
We didn't.
No, wait, no. Like, this isn't
But
sponsored.
you wanted it, Emily.
I did want it. I fucking love League of Legends.
So-
Okay, that's
so-
Braum. He has these cute little puppies basically that follow him around.
Ash just.
Ash is just a baddie. She's also an archer,
Mhm.
but she's like an ice
Ash is
archer.
like a tutorial girl.
Okay, pop quiz time.
Okay. Oh, yeah, Cindy, were
Who-
you paying attention?
who-
Dude, you know her ass was not paying attention at all.
No, I'm
Thank
listening.
you, Kitty.
What
Okay.
does Talia do?
She throws fucking rocks.
Okay. What does Varys do?
Well, we should give her a chance since she's new.
No, I answered one. You go.
Varys is a really hot archer.
Okay, I'll take that.
Yeah, and he has an ability. I think it's the E ability, and he goes.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm so locked into this. I'm a fucking genius.
Okay, who's that? Who was that, Cinna?
I didn't look. I missed who it was.
What is that?
The trophy.
The Summoner's Cup.
No, I got it right.
Okay, this girl is hot. Her name's Ambessa, and
Wait, she's in Arcane.
she's an arcade.
Oh,
So proud of me. Okay.
Okay, so how many tournaments did they play to get here? How
Oh,
long has
wow.
this season been?
Okay.
Do you know the other team?
I don't know anything about the other team. I don't care about them. I only
So we're only team.
I'm
Flaky.
kind of fake. I only watch SKT games because these games have been at like 12 a.m. and end at 3 every.
They are in the middle of the morning.
Yeah. But they did just announce that Worlds is in New York next year, so we should go.
Wait, what?
Wait, that's kind of sick.
Wait, I'm surprised.
I think they said Worlds was in New York, or
How did they have it planned out this early?
did they announce that? They announced that. I saw it on socials. Yes, they did. Okay.
Did you leak?
No.
something crazy?
No.
Oh my
Oh my
no.
god. Did you get
Imagine
scared?
You leaked that, dude. Oh my god,
You know-
Zoran.
Do you know
Emily.
Zoran for mayor, and also Worlds in New
Emily,
York.
Wait.
oh my god.
Wait, why did someone say Las Vegas?
Not given the opportunity to play this champion, make sure that he wasn't uncomfort. And thus far, Perfect had an absolutely stellar tournament. He's been playing incredibly well, but we also haven't really seen any team pay attention towards the top side. It's all been about the bot side. And I don't really expect that to change. The Ambessa matchup to me also says we're looking to just take the early beating in lane trial and then be able to later on, once Ambessa gets that 2-3 item breakpoint, to really start dealing out that heavy damage in the side lane and in the fights.
Yeah, we'll see when Ambessa gets Eclipse, if she gets Eclipse. Honestly, we did get a little update though. I think they are remaking the champion select, so we do have a bit of time here. More anticipation before we get into
As if the opening ceremony and the incredible video wasn't enough. We just have to keep building the tension.
Yeah, I mean, Jem singing about sacrifice, all of the players talking about
Kobe talking about sacrifice in the video.
Yeah, you were there. How much they have all poured into this though. It really does hit home so hard when you hear the stories of so many of the KT players being inspired by T1 members specifically. You know, BDD talking about Faker and his Zed play being the moment that he even chose to become a mid laner. As well, you know, some of these legacy T1 players like Wolf as well, inspiring the next generation. And now KT, these players that were inspired find themselves here on the stage capable of inspiring others.
Yeah, and it's a reminder that competitive League of Legends is grueling. How many millions of players does it take to churn out 100 pros across the world, to break it down over constant domestic tournaments into international events, to bring us down to just the 10 players left standing? How many people have lost to Faker and Solo Queue over the year, or BDD over the year, just to lead to this moment where they can play at their absolute best on the World Final stage?
I'm still flabbergasted that we have a telecom war in the grand finals at worst. I don't know. We've had a week to kind of deal with this. I'm still not quite there. It's a lot.
It really is epic. I mean, the telecom wars spanning multiple decades of rivalry, multiple games, multiple genres of games, and now fighting over that Summoner's Cup. We have made our way onto the Rift for the first game.
A brief moment for the fans on both sides. But no surprise in any arena when the T1 fans are just that little bit louder. We've said it before, but it feels like every single arena we go to, no matter what region it is in, T1 are the hometown heroes.
Already seeing a very aggressive level 1, as you would expect from both Ash and Braum here. I want to highlight one thing that we've seen this tournament is the arms race when it comes to teleport in the bot lane. Right now, Guma did actually go for the teleport, and Dokdom hasn't. So Dokdom does have a Combat Summoner, but they need to actually get any mileage out of that, because if not, you are going to lose in the long run if you have even trades, because your opponent will be able to cheat tempo way better than you do. And we'll also see whether lane swaps might play a part in that as well, because teams have been very happy to swap for grubs.
Yeah, meanwhile, on the other side, Guma won't have a cleanse if he does get hit by an Ash arrow.
Yeah.
And so we'll see which bet ends up paying off.
And it's important to note, as thrilled, as excited we are at this matchup, the story of these two teams this year has been incredibly one-sided. The most recent best of we saw, KT were able to make the upset happen, but it's only because of the tournament form that we've seen from KT that there's faith that this telecom war isn't just going to be one-sided.
Yeah, there's a little interesting bit at the very end there.
That was a 2-0.
One little bit of an upset, and we have been seeing this KT roller coaster keep going up. Gen G had similar dominance over this team, and KT were able to upset them.
Yeah, and shout out the production team for this graphic on a side note. We said Galaga, we were kind of joking, but it does feel apt. It's not a roller coaster anymore. It's a spaceship, but if there's one team that might bring them back down to earth, it is Faker himself. Of course, we did see in the meantime a bit of early trading on the bottom side. Heal used from Peter for that additional movement speed to make sure some of that damage would stick, but Peter and Dokdam, they're getting prio, but losing out a bit when in terms of overall HP. That said, Guma has already popped the pot, so still quite favorable for KT overall.
Still cookie for Dokdam as well, as both junglers will be pathing towards the bot side. Obviously, Wukong prefer to just farm to 6. Has decent access to lanes, but not really any CC, nor that meaningful damage to speak of, particularly pre-first base, but really not until he gets a Triforce. Oner, though, on the Xin Zhao, has been, for me, the main early game engine for T1 for, well, I could say the entire year, but we can go a couple years back at this point. There's been a reason why this man has really been, I think, by many considered over the whole year the best jungler that we had in the LCK.
And the desk so beautifully highlighted his consistency, right? He feels like the rock for this team. That's been doubly true for T1 domestically. Of course, at Worlds, so many of the members of the team have stepped up, so it doesn't just feel like Oner running the show in the early game, but need to see where those early ganks are going to come from, because the Xin, we know, can have that early impact, even while we expect the Wukong to farm.
Yeah, and on the opposite side, that Wukong that I really highly prioritize right now, as far as the jungle pool, is going to find the first skirmish.
Cuz kicking things off, Carrier waiting off to the side, TP already used, flash backwards, the concussive blow stacking, Oner 2, manages to lock him down, and that's going to be first blood. They're donating it to BDD.
The roam up the bottom lane here. Peter on the Braum again. He's able to roam early into the river. That makes the difference. The concussive blows actually makes the difference. They pop the blast code, and it is KT who strike first.
And let it be known that BDD is like, oh, you want to fight for Scuttle? I'm TPing straight to river. And it's that bot lane prio we talked about. Because they had the prio, starting level 1, Peter was able to roam up, and Oner gets caught off guard.
Pushing lanes are everything for early jungle skirmishes. This is the first highlight that you ever talk about for jungling, for objectives. BDD comes over, he roams down, Peter roams up, and KT as a team are able to collect their first blood. We did warn against the possibility of BDD also taking over, by the way. He has been magnificent at this tournament. He has been such a carry player all year long for this KT squad.
And what I love with BDD is it goes way further back, right? Is perfect!
All in, Doran forced to flash back. Just a trade of flashes, but Doran struggling to survive now in this matchup as Peter does his best to hold the wave. Carrier going for the knockback on the heroic charge. Guma a bit more damage, but clearly the lane's getting a little bit anxious, trying to force these bigger plays.
But we're seeing there is no hesitation from KT. Perfect with the confidence on the rumble to go in. But for BDD, as I wanted to, just as a small reminder, this man was one game away from making, and I would say dragging his team to finals back in 2021. As Dogdom
going in. Hunter's volley not quite enough. Now Carey is looking to finish the job himself. Slowly but surely, the Poppy whittling him down. Dogdom forced to flash away. But Carey, hungry for blood. A little bit more time. The Q flash forward. Dogdom with a bit of a sidestep. Extra movement speed. Trying to make it through the minions. Dogdom living for an extra moment. Avoiding the angle back into the wall. Carey gets the knockback. The cleanse coming out. 1 for 1 in the bottom lane.
And Dogdom tries to get Guma, pays for it with his life, but he does get the trade back.
Okay, now they're going to gank bottom lane too. Guma's trying to push the wave in. They're going to punish him.
Flash.
The wraparound. Braum is there. Wukong is there.
Dogdom on the way down. He won't be there in time. However, Unbreakable Peter looking to mark him up. Concussive blows finally hitting. Auto attack reset more than enough. Guma Yushi falls at the hands of Cuz.
And KT are not letting them breathe. That is already a kill going over to Cuz. Wukong accelerated, and it's a 1.2k gold lead at 6 minutes, Kobe!
And Cuz has done so much for this KT squad. He has been carrying really heavily himself. With early money onto Wukong, you get to your Triforce so accelerated, and you can win those mid-game team fights. Here's another look at Guma baiting down until the last auto, his health bar, so that his support can go for the kill.
Because Dogdom was trying to just cancel the base, but didn't know Keria was still there. Keria was in the Tribush, canceled his base, and that's what led to this extended sequence. And Keria going for this was fine, right? That 1-for-1 trade is good because you killed the AD carry, but it's the punish onto Guma here that turns it very much in favor of KT.
Exactly. The reason why you say that play is fine is because then they're going to assume that they get to push in on the minions afterwards, which would make it worth it. But the timings from Peter and Cuz, they've been so synced up this game. The early roam into the river, this roam here, they come back out onto the map at the perfect timing to punish the attempt to push the wave in, which also earns them this early dragon. And as we talked about in the setup, before you even got into game number 1, game number 1 can have huge implications here as far as the confidence for KT in their ability in this grand finals. They talked about it after upsetting Gen G, and they are off to a very good start here early on in game number 1.
Incredibly oppressive start is once again the flick connecting onto BDD. Faker holding his own in the mid lane decently well despite those early kills going down, but you both highlighted it so well. Dogdom, really everything working out perfectly for him as his team is there to support. His team is there to cover. We did see in the picture-in-picture while we were breaking down that replay, an attempted gank top side from Owner. Wanted to try to find an angle onto Perfect. Perfect, beautiful size up on the W means it doesn't go through. But KT on the bottom lane, now that Guma has this 6, potentially more angle here for T1 to play if they want to recoup some of these losses.
And for T1, there is still a lot of power in their team fight. I particularly like your ability to single out targets and force unfair fights, right? With the Taliyah, with the Poppy as well. Poppy in particular can really turn any game around as long as you find high enough value targets. But we also need to be real. This early game is being completely run right now by KT.
T1 recognize they cannot contest the grubs. Prio on the top side still in favor of Perfect. Mid lane relatively even, slightly in favor of the side of T1. Faker hovers into the darkness, threatens maybe a Weaver's Wall to the bottom lane, but Peter and Dogdom pretty effortlessly holding for now. So difficult to dive this Ashe Braum, but Keria might go for it anyway. On forward, Dogdom there. Case to stand behind me, wants to come through, but Keria, of course, can interrupt. Flashing out instead, then using the W to escape, just to make sure the Steadfast presence does not come through. However, they're zoned away from the tower, and they're going to be losing some plates.
Okay, so KT, they back off. That does mean with the half row mid from Faker, who is hovering to threaten the full commitment from T1, BDD is going to shove out this mid wave first and see if there is any contest over red. It looks like Cuz, early pings, he knows that may be an objective that Owner would try and go for, and so immediately goes out to protect it.
Do really like the bounce back from T1 here, not getting Toronto's arrow.
Okay,
close. Faker, not too scared of that one. But yeah, the T1 with the presence of mind, it was about a 300 gold swing thanks to the play in the bot lane, the CS denied as well as the plates. But there were free grubs for KT. We'll see if that's going to be worth or not, because it really depends on how much access they get to turrets.
True, but I want to remind people that this is Fearless, so the importance of these picks that have worked before, working again. Dogdom played the Ashe, had an incredible arrow hit ratio. Shout out to our stats guy Hayden for manually tracking every arrow that hit. It's a similar story for Guma. So for Dogdom to take this away from Guma and have a good game is crucial for KT's game plan, as the ulti doesn't connect from Doran. That's crushing. Very likely would have been a sure thing on the initial kill, and now Perfect wants to go for the all-in. Carry on the way up, and Perfect is completely overheated. Buying a bit more time to overheat now as he turns back into the wave. Damage coming in, and the rest of the team has arrived. Spinning right on top of Dorn, it is a Cyclone. Keria running concussed, taken down. KT dominating game one.
Perfect on his rumble. There is a reason he is so confident on that champion. Teleports down to the bottom side, will equalize the play.
So the cross map doesn't work out, and targeting perfect has been a strategy employed against KT for the whole year. So it makes sense that T1 tries to go for it. But once that ultimate misses, you can't keep forcing it. Perfect, able to stay alive, doesn't really take any meaningful damage, and his reinforcements ensure KT now up 5-1.
We were thinking there was so much talk about T1 and the possible three-peat and 4 finals in a row and how their advantage is going to be how confident they will be under these bright lights. But KT are playing this game number one like they're the most confident I have ever seen.
Which is so impressive when we look back at the media day at the press conference, and Peter was talking about how Keria is perfect in every way. The only thing he had going for him was supposed to be his rookie spirit, but he's been first on the map. He is paired up with Cuz so incredibly well. Now almost a 2,000 gold lead for KT. T1 not out of it yet, but sent reeling in an early game where they gave the ideal topside to the side of KT, even after 3 targeted mid lane bans.
And it's honestly impressive. I really like the angle from Peter, who, again, debuted in 2022. And obviously, this is his first World Final, as we have seen many a time, which is still, to me, a heartwarming fact. Had never actually taken a plane out of Korea until he got to Worlds. But thus far, we're actually seeing, I think, coming into the draft, we were looking at what is the comfort going to be, and thus far the comfort has worked out in favor of KT, and what is the bot lane matchups going to look like. And when Keria did go for this blind Poppy, we knew it was a gamble, and thus far it hasn't paid off. But in these team fights, the Poppy can still secure a numbers advantage.
KT don't have prio in the lanes. They have enough vision to know the objective hasn't been started, but they have to be careful at checking for fog of war. They wait to have 3 members strong. They spot Keria, and they know that is their time to step up. Owner waiting. Gumayusi on the way in. Arrow connecting. No chance to use the Crescent Guard. It might be too late by the time Owner does it. Realm War behind, and it's BDD right on top of Owner, but Faker is there to cover. Instantly, he's sprinting out to safety as Doc Dam starts to rain hell onto Owner, but the Xin is too damn tanky. The objective in the sights of KD. Kuma, not enough time to charge the arrow. Second Drake dropping for KT Rolster.
And T1 second smite, this time cannot find the arrow. Second Drake goes over, and it's again no hesitation from KT.
KT, I mean, they've just been so methodical in this game with their lane assignments, with their choices here for objectives. They pull the pincer closed. They trap T1, force them off. Multiple flashes invested from both sides, though. So I'm definitely looking at Doctum as well. This Ashe with no cleanse and no flash after this bottom side river fight. That may be an area where T1 look to try and punish him, to try and get some gold to get back into this game.
Because it does feel thus far, KT has been the one calling most of the shots. Really, even the kill that they got onto Doctum was him going in. He did get punished for that, traded. But it's really been KT on the forward. Even here, where they did not have prio, as you highlighted, Dracos, they were still able to use the engage power of that Ashe, as well as the Wukong. And I shudder to think what would have happened if Perfect had joined that fight. Because the Rumble with the equalizer could have made that a lot worse. T1 was able to get out, and they will keep the gold within relative touching distance. But early Drake stacking, an incredible team fighting, team composition, and just the confidence with which KT is playing thus far is really impressive.
So I think we're going to have to keep our eyes on if T1 are able to create some pockets of vision that they can abuse and make some picks of their own. They do have Talia Wall as well as Ambessa Ultimate, very long range abilities here to try and make some of those picks. Gumayusi as well, fairly good at this, Varus, and throwing out those skill shots. So we'll see if they can actually punish the Ashe in mid. So far, I'd say Doctum is playing incredibly well. Look how safe he is being on the Ashe. Right now, when he had nobody near him, he backed off to his tower, even with nobody showing. He's got his hawk shot, and KT have plenty of vision for him up through the top side of mid lane, giving him that safety where he can just kind of hug that wall. And so I feel like KT are almost removing any of these comeback options, these avenues for T1, because they know that's what they're looking for. But BDD!
Doran full committing. The root does manage to connect. Doran can't keep the dive. But BDD is not going to over push here.
Nice force by Doran. Gets his ult off, and BDD forced the flash. A big win there, because that does mean some of the engages of T1 a lot more scary.
Exactly. Plus, you know, maybe picking someone off in a side lane, not just looking at that mid lane here with another flash down.
Very important for T1 that in a deficit like this, although not game-ending, that they can find these avenues for individual outplays. But now it's Doran's flash, traded back. BDD came back to lane, Redemption coming down to heal him up. Major cooldown that will not be available, crucially, for this Herald. KT are already on it, and they've just been one step ahead of T1 the entire game.
Herald guaranteed, and what is the counterplay for T1 even? With Doran being pushed off of the top side of the map, there's not much for them to get except for a Scuttle Crab. Bottom side mid wave is not even going to get pushed all the way in.
Doran,
that's 4 people.
Overstaying, concussive blows, the Cyclone immediately comes out as well. Doran can't push a single button. KT merciless on the dive. Doran caught asleep at the wheel, overconfident. T1 trying to fire back for first tower, but it's KT who get it.
They've got the boot upgrades already, and they get the tower early here. 2,000 now the gold lead. The Dragon stacking continuing. KT in game number 1. The coaster does keep going up, Chronicler.
Yeah, and obviously, you know, what goes up eventually. Arrow doesn't hit.
Nice sidestep here, there in time to body block if necessary.
But I want to highlight, what did this cost for T1? So Doran TP stopped to try and salvage this turret, right? Stall. If there's 2 people there, he can probably at least keep it alive long enough for his team to win it. But he TP's in. Then Faker also has the TP towards top to prevent them from taking down the inner. So now T1 not going to have those available for any upcoming fight. In about a minute, the possible soul point for KT is spawning.
And credit to T1, they're leveraging the power of the bar as well in the mid lane. They've consistently had mid-prio. They've used it to chunk away at that turret, chip away at that potential objective. Losing out on the boots is very unfortunate, but need to see if KT can keep this momentum going, because this is the pocket of vision you were talking about. Already set up by T1. One step ahead when it comes to this objective and the control they have over the area. KT might just give it. Only now are they getting control of mid lane.
Yeah, at the middle stage of the game, the team fights are definitely still very winnable here for T1. There's not been this huge break point that KT have hit, even though they do have a very nice lead in this one. You know, Cuz does not have his full second item completed on the Wukong just yet, so it is still about positioning and execution as they look towards this Dragon Soul point. 4 seconds on the arrival of the Mountain Dragon, and Rifthold is used mid for priority.
Wall to try to block the initial charge. Is just going to deny that. Well played. Good piece of mind by Faker to deny that potential prio point. It still does mean, however, that KT get access first to the objective. Owner, Guma, Faker, Keria all ready to go. Keria's ulti, you highlighted it earlier, can be crucial, can deny some of the members of KT access to the pit here, but it's a very slow, drawn-out secure. BDD marking Doran on the flank. Arrow starting to rain. Peter getting chunked out. A flashback from Perfect. T1 chipping away at those resources. Eyes on the equalizer. Redemption now used. Cooldown up just in time. KT keeps going, but now they want to turn it right back. Instantaneous equalizer. Keria locked up. Rumble coming in, but denied. Keria wants to knock Perfect out of the fight, but it might not matter because it's Doran into the back line. Owner stays standing. Cuz take it down. T1 fire back.
No matter the early deficit, T1, they still win the team fight. They still get the Dragon, and they're looking for BDD.
On the hunt for BDD, but there's just nowhere for him to go. In the blink of an eye, KT's lead disappears.
The KT, they walk into the pincer. That objective just a little bit too juicy, but they will pay for it very heavily as the attempted engage onto Keria is stopped by his W.
How clutch are they? Look at Owner starting it out with the Zin ultimate to spread them apart, and Doran following it up on his Mbessa, and they split apart the team fight so meticulously, and they immediately steal the objective on top of it.
Frustration on the face of KT, not the end of the world, but the goal is a lot closer now. We look back at that team fight. Owner, a hero, Guma raining down arrows, but also Doran was getting focused, made a mistake TPing the top side, bounced right back in that fight to be critical for that T1 advantage.
Zin in the trailer, right?
Yup.
Zin, some new lore. Maybe Owner is the main character.
And I want to highlight what you said earlier, Kobe, because it was really, if you looked at the actual item finishes, basically everyone in the game was sitting on like an item and a couple of components. So if KT have maybe a couple more breakpoints that they've hit, could have been a difference maker. Now T1, slight gold lead, but I do think it's again important to remind everyone that I do still love the KT Cup when it comes to the actual 5v5, but we are seeing if Doran and or Owner can get on that back line, can get on top of Dokdam and BDD, the fights are basically unplayable for KT.
Yeah, and the reason we keep highlighting a lot of the setup players here for this team is because if you do have good setup for Taliyah, Faker's Taliyah, the combos are so deadly. And Faker this tournament as well has been able to do a lot of raw Taliyah W's to find picks and find burst damage.
Guys.
So let's see about the approach to the Otacon.
Otacon, for now, just the ward.
Doran is getting the top tower at the moment, so that is going to be guaranteed gold here for T1.
And this is the struggle of playing against T1. Their movement around the map is so confident. KT need to be ready to pull the trigger, and they have. Otacon started. A big risk. Doran resetting back to base, likely to finish the second item before he TPs into the fight if needed. Owner in the area. It might come down to just a 50-50, but Faker also has access to the Weaver's wall critically. No flash for Dokdam. No flash for Cuz. KT luckily able to reset the objective, but I don't think they're going to get a chance to leave quite yet. T1 know they have an advantage in the fight if it comes down to the 5v5. Flash forward. Ulti into the back. Immediately thinks he picked off. Peter does his best to heroically disengage. It is not enough to keep Dokdam standing. Cuz taken out as well. Doran in the 3v1. Completely and totally unfazed. Carrier there to stop any further follow-up. Faker taking down Perfect. And BDD is not enough to stop T1.
And it's the Krug Lord that finds his mark. Dokdam goes down and T1 turn on to Otacon.
Doran, the addition to this T1 roster, annihilated him.
Hello.
Resetting resistance is shredded by the Otacon. Carry a ward over the wall, spots out Cuz. T1 know it's a 50-50 now. 5 seconds on Dokdam, but he doesn't have access to a TP to make it to the fight any faster. Perfect TP available. BDD finds the angle into Doran. Carry now backing up. 3K on the objective. Getting lower. Steadfast presence gone. Faker on the backside. Cuz wants to try to make it out of this one, but now they're moving at advantage. Take out Guma. No, Guma living. Losing the fight to finish him. Looking for a bit more damage, but T1, they find the double for Carrier. They take the Thorn down Otacon. And Perfect. It is too little. It is too late. Baker teleports in and he saves the team fight. He gets that shove. They get the Otacon.
And KT try their darndest to get that objective, not able to do so. And so many cooldowns used there as well. That's going to set up perfectly for T1. 3.5k gold lead. 1 minute till the next Mountain Dragon. And now T1, it feels like they're in full control.
What a fight, what a scramble. BDD makes a heads-up play, flashing on the Doran to get the first kill of the fight. And then T1 are communicating the teleport arrival from Faker. Look at Owner running away so that Cuz can't find burst damage onto him. And once Faker comes in and gets a double shove.
And that shove ends the fight immediately. They were a member up. And Perfect, if he was alive just a little bit earlier, could have been the difference maker, but not in time. And T1 now with the biggest lead we've seen in this game so far.
After that 4K gold lead on top of a discrepancy of 38 petals, 40 to 2.
Oh my god.
Nearly 8K in gold and an additional effective stats or XP from those petals. A nearly unstoppable advantage. Luxury items coming through. The Seeker is there for Faker. Perfect's utilized in the previous fight. Things are getting dark for the side of KT. They're going to fight back to the bottom lane to try to get vision of this area. They could not secure the third Drake, but they desperately want the soul point. They spot Faker on the flank. One more fumbled fight might just take them out of this game entirely.
Cuz getting chunked, already took an arrow. Faker's looking to split the fight.
7K. Cuz gonna have a hard time healing back up that chip damage. Cuz have access to the Sundered Sky. Objective reset now. Eyes on those support cooldowns as well. Carry his ulti. The Unbreakable for the Braum will be important as T1 already getting mid-prio. Doran fishing for the flank once again. Ready to come over the wall with the public execution. Carrier going into the wall, locking up Cuz. Instantaneous knockup! A flawless combo to keep it going. Dokdam finally escaped, but he just finds himself in a 1v1 versus Doran. Hope fading fast for the side of KT as Carrier is still standing. Perfect and BDD running for the hills. T1 grabbing their second Drake, but Owner not done yet. Knocks Peter out as well.
And Cuz just doesn't get to play the game. Carrier, who we haven't talked about in a bit, had a rough start to the lane. I'm thinking now the Poppy pick really works out. He's the one that set up the pick onto the Wukong, and he gets CC'd 100-0.
Carrier Poppy, my boy. Oh my goodness, what an engage. Honestly, let's watch it again, guys.
As look at the combo here, and it's the immediate follow-up that to me seals the deal, right? It's Doran is ready, Owner's there, Faker sets up the wall for the sandwich, and even though BDD and Perfect are trying their best, Again, without that Wukong, without that front to back in these messy skirmishes, T1 is just reigning supreme.
The confidence in each other is what really makes this team elite here for T1. You said it, no hesitation from them. They all go in at the same moment. They all find the engage. They find the kills, and they find themselves almost 5,000 gold in the lead.
It's not just that. Look at the levels. Doran is 2 levels up. Our owner is 2 levels up. BDD is kind of okay. And indeed, as Kobe nicely points out to me, we already talked about it's 43 to 2, right? So BDD is the only one that's even because of the Roa. And now, as T1 does, they're going to start up this Baron.
And it's a terrifying position for KT because they know if a single member of their team makes a misstep, the fight very likely ends. The Braum was supposed to be the tool that stopped this dive from Doran, that stopped the dive from Owner from coming through. But if T1 are the ones to kick it off, it just has not been enough.
Seen this one before. Yeah, they don't dare to go for it. We've seen this exact bait a million times. Obviously, Faker does a flash. If they try to arrow, could have made it out, but they don't want to go for it.
Yeah. Faker with his arm guard has a couple of ways to buy some time if you overextend going for the chase. But then you look at the mentality on the other side as KT, and you kind of have to go for one of these plays to pick someone off out of position. You have to hope that you're going to be able to surprise someone with an Ashe arrow and immediately delete them.
We're looking at Dokdom. You highlighted it. That's the arrow. The sustained damage that Ashe can bring to the table is, of course, impactful, even on 2 items. But none of these fights have been long fights. He's been deleted at the start of every single one. So finding that advantage, finding that additional member in a fight, making sure it is a 5v4 in the favor of KT, crucial for the next fight. The combo is still there. The Cyclone, the Equalizer. You can see how KT can find advantage, but it just has not been working out past the 15-minute mark.
I also love that Keria Poppy has the most kills of any single player in the entire game.
Feels apt.
Battle Poppy, baby.
Yeah, look at his items. That helps, right?
The redemption.
The redemption locket as they're going to start it up.
He's got the TP, he's got the heal, he's ready to move across the map and make plays. Eyes on the keeper's verdict to see if they can force Cuz out of the pit. 7K, objective getting lower. Owner isolated. Faker off to the side, likely going to have to use the arm guard. Extra shield coming in. Faker, stone cold as he holds the cooldown. Dokdom starting to push forward, but he really doesn't have too much damage. Eyes on Perfect and Cuz, the Equalizer, the Cyclone. T1 moving through the choke point, but KT don't have the vision they need. Finally, the ward dropped as T1 once again take control of mid, but happy to just trade a few cooldowns and back away.
And it was the resilience of KT that got them the win against Gen G. That game looked dire as well. TP comes in from Faker. Won't have his ult. Zona goes in.
Catch him out. Unbreakable used to kick off the fight. That's the ulti from Gumayusi. Good response coming in from Perfect, but the damage not really enough. Ulti does not connect from Doran. Knockback from Keria takes BDD out of the equation. And once again, it's Doran on top of Dokdom. Concussive blows buy him an additional second. Perfect running. The flick back likely to come through as Faker tries to get the damage down. But now he finds himself in a brief 2v1. Goes Golden. Knocked back into the wall. Keria there right in time as KT are effortlessly dismantled. Doran dropping Perfect as well.
And they're going to at least get the shove. I was kind of wondering whether they wanted to play for the end, but not going to be the case. TP's toward the Baron, and T1 about to close out this game.
Yep, that's a T1 Baron, all right. Here's another look. Owner starts it out early, knowing that they have the rotation up from Faker as well. And so bottom side of the fight, you see Faker coming over while Owner, his ultimate actually expires, and they trade 1-for-1 on those junglers. But since Faker's able to section off the rest of the KT members here, Perfect has to flash, and BDD doesn't get a chance.
And BDD, he flashed onto Owner trying to take him down, but just wasn't perfectly in range. Didn't actually do any damage to him, and then got taken out of the fight, I think, by the Poppy, which meant that they were severely lacking damage there.
And again, Faker, perfect knowledge of his cooldowns in that extended fight. Waits for the Seraph, knows it'll save him. Still has access, crucially, to the Zhonya's when BDD and Perfect try to go all in. But now, the Hail Mary, KT betting it all. 5 members strong, but it's a Baron buff empowering T1. As long as they buy time here, they're chipping away at that Red Bull Baron power play. Objective getting lower. Owner waiting over the wall to divide the team coming in from Faker. Denied a bit by Peter, and it's Owner now on the flank looking for Cuz. Not sure if he's found him. Cuz turning right back onto Owner. Owner instantaneously into the back line. The concussive blows there, as is the perfect execution. Keria in the thick of it. Gumayusi and Faker untouched coming over the wall, but it's Faker. Full confidence is the flash, but unfortunately the flip back goes wide. Doran turns it right back with a sundering blow. KT pulling away. Man advantage for the side of T1 being ushered out. Keria wants to deny it, but he will only be able to isolate. Perfect. The Baron still backing them up. The Dragon in their sights. T1 once again taking a fight.
And an attempt from KT to maybe get a soul point because T1 took that Baron. Not going to end up working out. That's going to be triple Mountain Drakes to come through here. The turn onto Owner actually ended up working out decent, but it's Gandora and is always there to help out his jungler.
Yeah, and he just annihilating Doctum fight after fight after fight. So even when Owner goes down in the sacrifice, they're able to pull it back. Look at the burst damage there as well at the end. And then Chronicler, once again, Perfect is left out. Well, the rest of the team escapes in the Realm Warp on the edge.
And you can see there's so much damage from this KT top side, but I guarantee if we were to look at the healing, the Owner, that Sundered Sky is doing a ton of work. The shielding coming in from Doran, making it so impossible for KT, even when they spot that member isolated, even when they think that someone like Owner has overstepped, they just cannot finish these crucial kills. On top of that, their reliance on magic damage to burst through health bars being very heavily mitigated by the double Maw of Malmortius for Doran and Owner respectively.
In the moment that Doctom's taken out of the fight, Cuz alone can't really do enough AD damage. And guess what? He's been taken out every single time. As being Ashe against all these dive threats, T1, even though the very early skirmish didn't go their way, are now marching on KT's base.
Final wave of this Red Bull Baron power play. Brought in the mid lane from Faker. Wall to isolate the tower. They want to break open the space, limit the options for KT. T1 outplaying in the fights, and now that they have a lead, they're not looking to give anything away. 3 minutes on the next Baron, 3 minutes on Soul for T1. As Faker still fishing for the flick back, for the seismic shove. But KT running out of options fast. The damage has not been enough. The positioning, the setups just have not been good enough. And T1 have been more than happy to punish and tear apart this KT team.
So telling that KT is still stuck at 2 pedals, because ever since T1 has gone to control, they haven't been able to play the game. They've just been locked out of objectives, locked out of lanes. And now it's hard to imagine a world where this game 1 can go their way. T1 with the resilience, the experience of this roster. Again, 4 of which were 1 game away from making it 5 Worlds Finals in a row, which would have been even more silly. But their form is not bad either.
Definitely not too shabby. Let's take a look, though, because we're going to teleport up to the top side and look to get our ending push in for T1. Quite probably as they rotate everybody over to this corner of the map. Bot side, BDD trying to buy some time since the inhibitor is down in this lane. He's pushing it out to try and hopefully for KT set up one of many defenses that they're going to need to fight their way back into this game.
Perfect, going to use the equalizer to clear the way, but it will not stop the tier 2 tower from falling. Does give a bit more time to BDD to get a tower back in response, securing a bounty, but it's still a 9,000 gold difference. I don't even care about the pedal math anymore. All you need to know is it is a lot. It is a lot of lead for the side of T1, and for KT, it will take a miracle or a misstep from the side of T1 to bring them back.
And you already kind of start to think about drafts for the rest of the series as well, as we are in Fearless. And we're seeing why so many teams ban Poppy versus Keria. But then you're thinking, okay, yeah, Keria, he had amazing Poppy ultimates this game. He had amazing engages, but are you going to give him Nico? No. Are you going to give him Bard? No. Are you going to give him Renata? It's so hard. This player is just so good.
He got 4 bans in our first draft. Alistair, Renata, you highlighted the Bard and the Nico as well. Obviously, those first 2 a bit more contextual, but when his 5th pick is winning games and team fights, it's a reminder to why this player is held in such high regard, and a reminder to what a glow-up in form he has had. Domestic Keria was solid, right? Still a good support. But this version of Keria, world-class.
Faker also has 100% kill participation on the Taliyah, by the way. Full 20 for 20 there.
That's 18.
Just kidding. That's why you don't do math.
I was about to say.
That Keria double kill didn't count. We don't give that one. That one, those 2 just didn't count.
It happens to the best of us.
I felt like
Don't
we
worry
needed a
about
comedic break.
Yeah, because barring a KT steal of this next dragon, the game will end on maybe Baron, definitely Mountain Soul.
We do see a Vamp Scepter for Doc Dom. Some Grievous wounds as well, maybe help him heal back up, but of course the range discrepancy is big. But more importantly, 3rd item coming in for Cuz, 4th item for BDD, that death cap. Maybe now if they catch someone out from T1, they'll be able to finish those crucial kills. However, You have the pressure point on the top side from Faker. In the bottom lane, Super Minions are barreling in. KT, if they make a single wrong choice, they're likely to lose something regardless of the outcome.
And this is just going to be gone if they don't make a play. It's going to be a big realm warp. But you're realm warping possibly straight into your doom, and they're not even going to get the chance.
Cuz taken out of the equation. 6K getting lower. KT start to flounder. They decide it's not worth it. They decide they don't want it. Instead, they're going to turn their sights to the Drake. Spawning in 4 seconds. T1 already have secured the Baron on the back of a Keeper's Verdict from Keria. Now they might just look to end it here. Flash forward. Perfect execution. Aptly named as Docdam takes him down. KT now chasing out as well. BDD trying to well more back into the rest of the team. But Keria once again there to interrupt. Doran unfazed by the magic damage of BDD. It's a double kill coming through. Perfect and Cuz, the last two left standing. But a TP into the base to bring back and seal the deal in game one. T1. What a performance.
And Perfect running for the hills. I don't think his survival is gonna matter as Doran and Keria show a masterclass in this game one. The lane for both, I think, looked a little precarious, but those team fights, man, has a smile on the face of T1's top laner.
Doran was a heat-seeking missile in this game. He found Doctum over and over and over. Analysts, how are you feeling about game number one?
Well, Kobe, T1 is firing on all cylinders, stepping into this final, doing what they do best, honestly, performing in Worlds Finals and beating KT, Emily.
Wow, you really had to do me like that.
I did.
She did tell me before this she had a surprise because I was like, just come to me first and I'll just be like, this is looking a lot
the
like
surprise is pain.
regular season. I'm very used to this feeling.
Are you?
So thank you for making me feel at home.
It's okay. Are you used to the feeling, though, that KT have such a great early game but then drop the ball?
That's a little different, but you know, sometimes they have it in them. I did really think that KT's early game started off very well. I was expecting the bot lane to be huge, right? And I actually did think the way they played specifically around Peter's Braum, linking up with Cuz, as you can see Cuz's early stats there. Yeah, exactly. I knew you'd agree with me because I'm also talking about your GOAT, but then it all went wrong, Azale.
It did, or it all went right for T1.
True.
And every second counts thanks to reliable Cisco network. Owner turns the tides at Dragon. So I want to rewatch this team fight. A couple crazy things happened in this moment. As we'll pull this up and I'll do a telestrator for it. So it is 2.5K gold lead up at the top of the screen. It's 2 Dragons in a row. KT, the early game really could not have gone better. They're going to find what looks to be a brilliant engage on the T1 members here. You know, right snap engage. They go in. Equalizer is across so many members. Like, look at the health bars here. You were thinking this is a one fight pretty much for sure from KT from this point. But going to draw your eyes to Dorian on the flanking position and then also Owner right here. So as Owner goes in, watch this Crescent Guard. The positioning right now looks like there's no way you can actually get through to Docdom, right? Docdom is right here, and Doran is trying to come up from the bottom. But watch, as the ulti comes through, they both get knocked back, opens up the perfect pathway for Doran right in onto the Ashe. Are you kidding me? Like, this is ridiculous. How do you pull that off? Like, they have no engage.
World Championship final, by the way, game one.
Like, that is just insane, man. That is like Shaq and Kobe off the backboard, just like dunking on KT's head.
It's so impressive
it's crazy.
How clean their team fighting is. And I want to bring up something that we touched upon earlier because your boy Doran, he is showing the heck up in his first game here where we talked so much about how at internationals he's had some pretty big flubs. He himself talked about how much his T1 teammates, the T1 support staff were helping him feel the T1 magic. His ambassador was feeling the T1 magic in game one.
He was absolutely feeling the magic, and he's helping out T1 now at this point because his ults were just point and click. He's finding the perfect member in every single team fight. They were so low on engage in this comp, he needed to have a big game, and he delivered.
He absolutely did. Also around the Arakan, right? And right now, I was looking at him at this point saying, is he going to do it again? Because it could have gotten dicey for T1, but it didn't.
It absolutely could have. And I mean, again, it was Doran showing up in this moment. You know, KT, we're the ones that try to pull it. He sneaks the ult past the Braum onto Docdom, gets into the backline again, and that just lights out. That's your only chance of the fight.
It's hard because you saw that for KTM BDD. Oh my gosh. It was slipping through their fingers, Emily. I want to hear you craft what we have to expect now, right? KT on the back foot. What are the priorities they have to make? Because I think coming into this draft, we thought they probably had the better draft.
Yeah, I mean, I thought they had a really strong draft for them. I really loved how they used the Braum. I did really love the Cuz-Peter synergy. I think that is a great thing that I want to see KT continue to have. The big thing for me, though, is, again, you have to find a way to be able to stand up to the massive amounts of coordination that are coming out of these T1 team fights. And I will say, I did like how they played around bot lane, so I would take that into game 2 as well.
And you have to find a way to not allow a game like that to shake you. Everything went right. You walked into that dragon fight, the pivotal one, with a massive advantage, and you still lost. And T1 will do that to you, so they have to stay poised. They have to stay confident. Everything they did in the early minutes was fantastic. They should look to repeat it.
Yeah, Gen G wasn't able to take more than one game off of them, so hopefully they hope that it goes the same way versus T1 today for KT. They are on the back foot, but they'll come back stronger in game 2, I'm sure of it. And let's also check out what's coming up next in Teamfight Tactics.
Shapes I used to take like a stolen, but it's easier to push me. 'Cause it could all end here. Mysteries stay like rise, and my shadows dashing after all the things I left behind. I'm still here. They argue in the fireflies cut through the skin.
안녕하세요. KT 피터입니다. 오늘 이렇게 촬영장에 좀 결승 촬영장에 와봤는데요.
이 촬영장이 약간 결승을 향해 가는 길을 대리석처럼 표현해놔가지고 좀 이쁘게 나올 것 같고 기대가 됩니다.
update is required. Financial system updating. System updated.
We will dance together.
The future of money is here. Feels good.
Well, I told you I was done with basic browsers.
Your setup wants Opera GX, and you're holding it back. Upgrade to the gaming browser. Download Opera GX.
Red Bull gives you wings.
The greatest players in the world are here.
They can just burn this one down. Oh my God, stolen by 9.
You are going to see them like you've never seen them before.
Crossed it well as the Arcane Storm doing so much work, and Genji, they are just going to ace them.
누구만나도 이길 수 있다는 자신감 정도로만 생각하고 있습니다.
Genji, the EWC win it. Locking down the Drake is now Doran. Decent position. Double
Break
circle.
down my walls, but I won't rise again. Cause I stand tall in my environment. How could I ever close my eyes as they silence sins? They try to take me down with their violence.
Oh, they go back in. Betcha flashes in. Down goes Knight.
Every moment of your journey, crystal clear. Landscapes, absolutely stunning. Close-ups, sharp and full of vibe. Group shots, packed with detail. Zoom in on one face, still flawless. Colors so real, every scene, every smile, unforgettable. Oppo Find X9 series, Hasselblad telephoto, zoom into detail.
I got this old thing and the bill from the store where I got it. Figured you could beat it with a better deal on one of these big boys.
It doesn't work that way.
Guess you're not as cool as Verizon.
Bring in your AT&T or T-Mobile bill for a better deal.
You don't know that?
Red Bull gives you wings.
Started something new.
BDD is going, but now they want to turn it right back. Instantaneous equalizer. Keria locked up. Rumble coming in, but denied. Keria wants to knock Perfect out of the fight, but it might not matter because it's Doran into the back line. Owner stays standing.
Does take it down. T1 fire back. No matter the early deficit, T1, they still win the team fight. They still get the dragon, and they're looking for BDD.
On the hunt for BDD, but there's just nowhere for him to go. In the blink of an eye, KT's lead disappears.
Welcome back to the World Finals, where T1 are up 1-0 against KT. KT tried their best in the early game. It felt like they might have found the formula, but T1 Magic struck again. Their team fighting absolutely flawless. And as we get ready for game 2, both teams looking at the draft, knowing that it is fearless, seeing what options are available to them.
And a lot has been expanded here when it comes to cooldowns or cards for both teams, right? We're not going to see the BDD for Taliyah, which I do think has been his best champion this tournament. And I really want to hone in on what, for me, went wrong. And I think it was not the early game where the set plays really ended up working out, but it's as soon as the map opened up. And I think that is something that, to me, is really hard to fix from game to game. Because if you end up with a bad draft, your lanes don't feel good, that's easy to pinpoint. You know, you draft something else and you're feeling better. But getting out macroed and getting out team fight is a little harder to fix.
Especially when the KT players have all really emphasized specifically team fighting in a lot of their interviews afterwards. Perfect gave one, Peter gave one as well, where they specifically talked about this being such a big strength and them wanting to focus on those mid and late game team fights. That is where they're going to have to bring it together. So when you're thinking of team fights and how to construct those, I'm thinking of Trundle and tanks, and we already see a Trundle ban. So KT being on blue side, the priority for Sion just goes through the roof. If there is no Trundle, Sion has just been God.
Certainly has been. So as we get into the first round of picks, the final round of bans here, at least in phase 1, in Champ Select powered by Omen and HyperX, we're looking at the Neeko, a potential first pick angle. Both the Neeko and the Bard were banned against Keria in game 1, and T1 have a choice. Do they want to risk giving this up? The answer is yes, but as you highlighted, the Sion is available in a world without Trundle.
So there is Sion available. I think this is a B1 Neeko. To me, feels like a no-brainer. It was Peter who, for a period of this year, was genuinely the best Neeko in the LCK. Found incredible engages on it. But it's also the Yone this time around open for BDD. Now, that is obviously something matchup dependent. Last time they banned it because they played the Taliyah, which can really struggle post-6. We'll see. If the Sion, to me, does feel inevitable, as highlighted, but what else is T1 going to pick up here?
And then you have to worry about how effective do you feel like the Rek'Sai counter into Sion is? Because we have seen varying levels of success or failures of players using it. I think that Perfect definitely can use that very effectively and, get some early CS lead, get some early turret plates if they do it. So as expected, the Sion go down because of the Trundle ban, and then I'm already thinking of KT, possible Rek'Sai there for Perfect in answer to get his own kind of lane counter.
And Jarvan, to me, really goes up in value once both Poppy and Taliyah are out. Both of those are not available, so that does mean that it's a lot harder to immediately and easily punish this champion.
Definitely the case, but anytime, of course, the Sion is locked in, I'm keeping just in the back of my mind, the potential of a swap. Looking at that bot lane 2v2, knowing how effective Sion can be in those swaps at just withstanding pressure, but KT debating how they want to respond to this J4. Buy a champion who pro players have loved for so long, but a champion that often has struggled to find impact on the world stage. You can see 4 wins, 12 losses.
And you want to get a kill combo with that Vi for your mid laner here for BDD. Are they going to drop BDD's pick, or are they going to drop the top lane answer into Sion here? I guess you could say, Perfect, just play a tank or something, and you don't necessarily have to go the Rek'Sai answer into it, and so they could invest in the other lane.
I do like relying on BDD's champion pool and just making sure Perfect's comfortable. This is one of the champions that he has played, and one thing that T1 does have to be careful about is that already they are looking to go towards a 2-carry composition. And that is something that I do think the Vi Neeko specifically can punish really well, because Sion and Jarvan early game actually do bring out a surprising amount of damage. Jarvan is fine going later into the game, but when you have enough dive to guarantee that one of the two members will be taken out, you might struggle. That's why I like the Sivir pickup. Sivir is one of those carries that is very hard to lock down. One of the picks that's good into is already alongside him with that Jarvan that can actually reliably lock it down. So I think the Sivir prio here makes a ton of sense.
Of course, securing that Rek'Sai, as you highlighted, does cost at least one champion from BDD with the Yone banned away. And we already have a support pick locked in for Peter. We mentioned it in Game 1, and we should say it again. Bot lane 2v2, incredibly important for both these teams. We saw in Game 1, KT with bot prio, able to run the map for the first 15 minutes. The question is, can they set that same thing up again?
And there's also the fact that one of the best champions we've seen with Neeko, one of the most impressive, is Corki, where Sivir actually has a good matchup into Corki, which frees up a ban for T1, which most likely... Okay, I actually was going to... I thought that they were going to throw all of it on BDD, instead going to take away the Kai'Sa here for Dokkan with Vi, with Rek'Sai, and with Neeko. Makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, it's just too good of a Kai'Sa angle there for KT, the dive, so wanting to deny that one makes a lot of sense. Faker Galio as well gets taken off the board. The protection not going to be there.
And the question is, how much emphasis do they want to put on giving full information to Keria before he goes for his counter pick? Obviously, you know what support you're playing against, but a 2v2 a lot more complicated than that. Going to opt, it looks like, to give that counter pick to Faker to make sure that he is really set up for success and to use this Lulu to ensure that Keria can do whatever he wants in these fights.
And with the Lulu, you have extra safety for one of the two carries that you're going to get, right? It also is a lane that can actually be quite oppressive, particularly when paired with something that shoves well.
Looking kind of at the options remaining for KT, the Ezreal certainly feels like he can stay at arm's length, gets out of the J4 kind of threat and pressure quite easily. That said, I am looking at the T1 lineup waiting for a big source of damage. Sivir takes a lot of time to scale up. You have a lot of amazing front-to-back tools for T1, but with Azir and Orianna banned away, where does Faker want to go with this counter pick?
Yeah, maybe the Victor, maybe the Mel that he has liked. Mel, maybe save that one actually later for later in Fearless. But some sort of control mage that does output a lot of damage like you're talking about, like the Victor. Only problem would be then that you would be very vulnerable to the dive that KT are showing.
And this is what I'm wondering about is, what are you going to pick here?
Oh, they steal it away!
It actually is stolen. That's crazy to me because I was looking at something that pairs well with Vi. And I think the issue here is that a lot of champions who would want to go with Vi are things that dive as well. Like, think about the Akali, for example. But you can't really blind those at the risk of getting counterpicked. And instead, BDD says, give me the Mel, a pick that has been rising in prio this tournament. And I like Victor when it comes to a two-carry composition. But you do need to get to your items because the early game for this comp is not looking too hot.
And I think that we have to hope, or at the very least the KT fans have to hope, that BDD's first game on Mel isn't his first ever game, but just his first competitive game, as we did see with Owner and Mundo early on, and now you're against Faker's Sylas. Front page of Reddit, we've watched the play 100 times. It was Medic last year, an incredible World Finals call. Faker stealing away that ultimate from Rakan to make an incredible game-winning play. And let me tell you, there are a lot of incredible ults for him to take once again.
And I'm definitely looking at the Neeko ultimate for sure, too. If he can find Peter, if he can steal the Neeko ultimate, the engage there would be huge.
I do think, though, with the Sylas, it really does help you with the early game issue that you otherwise might struggle with. Obviously, Sylas also, once you are able to get on top of the Mel doesn't have the ability like she does against many others to kind of create space with her W. But I do think it makes the composition a little awkward. It patches your early game issue, but I do think now you have a composition that on one hand wants to play for the Sivir and really try to play that classic front to back, keep safe, absorb the initial dive that comes through, but Sylas kind of does the opposite. So we'll see how T1 is able to navigate that, because I do think if they would have gone for the Victor, like the first item, spike or two, really doesn't feel that impressive to me.
And I feel like KT in the later stages of the draft actually drafted themselves some versatility here, since they indexed very heavily into range with both Ezreal and Mel having very long range. They can try and go for some poke damage early as well and try and force the shorter range T1 squad to do the engaging on them and look for a possible counter.
As we get into game 2 here, remember to log in to your Riot account on lolesports.com and watch Worlds live to earn exclusive world emotes, icons, and capsules. Ooh. But you might not have time. You might want to wait until after whatever is happening here continues to happen, because Keria running for his life. Faker there to body block any potential follow-up damage. Standard comes down, gives enough information to know that KT is backed away, but KT making an aggressive level 1 play to seize control of this early jungle.
And we do see KT again going for a very aggressive invade. These level 1 plays in the early laning phase was something where KT was just straight up better in game number 1. So to try to leverage that again, not really going to lean to anything meaningful this time around. Kerry didn't have anything forced. He will be there with the main wave. So unfortunately for KT, no big advantage found as Perfect doing a little bit of scouting here, but they are on the ward, so I don't think either Faker or Owner is going to fall for anything. And no swaps to come through, and we do have both junglers again pathing from that top side towards bot.
And reminder for anyone who didn't keep up with KT, who has just been here for this fever dream of a run to finals, that while everyone has stepped up with this lineup at Worlds, it was the mid-jungle that really brought this team together, that got them across the finish line. And when you look at Cuz and BDD, right, these are guys who have played together for so damn long, and now anytime KT's backs are against the wall, these are the players that we look at to really make the difference and stand up.
Certainly so. Such a long history playing together, multiple teams, multiple years, and they really do trust each other and have talked about how much it means to them to be here on this stage.
And it's also recently a story of almost, right? As we're going in
Story
again.
of level 2 on the bottom side as well. Docdom and Peter getting aggressive. Ezreal, before that first back where he has to invest money in tier, can be so lethal as long as those Mystic shots are connecting.
They are there. And this time it's Docdom that actually wins the arm race, right? He's the one with teleport, and Gumayusi doesn't, because as Ezreal, you are given the liberty of doing so because your kit has a built-in escape. That's something that I think T1, even though it wasn't necessarily that flashy, did actually end up using very well. We saw them out macro KT once they got control, really applying a ton of pressure to the lanes. As right now, both junglers pathing towards that bot side, and Guma not having flash available might be looking for something there because both of them very strong early ganks as well.
Definitely true. Cuz continuing to clear out the red buff. And really need to continue to keep our eyes on the bottom lane. The flash, of course, expended. The heal expended, so a potential vulnerable point. Meanwhile, on the top side, Perfect, a lot of sustain, but really hasn't been able to wrest control of the lane in terms of overall priority. Constantly, however, threatening the knockup just to stop Doran from forcing this wave all the way in.
Yeah, the sustain on a Rek'Sai, so nice. And these tank matchups will eventually start to whittle them down and look for the extra pressure there. Meanwhile, speaking of pressure,
Owner wrapping around BDD. False sense of security because his bot lane is moving first, but the jungler already there. Nice initial sidestep, flash backwards onto Faker. The root connects. Good damage from BDD, but he can't quite finish the kill. And the flash expended means advantage to the side of T1.
You'll take that if you're Owner. That means that once you hit 6, that is a Mel without an escape. If you do find your ultimate, BDD will be able to maintain his pressure on this lane, but he does have to pay for it heavily.
And the critical part is that T1, they don't overextend the play because Cuz and Peter were on the way there, and now they're looking at Guma.
KT getting aggressive, just knocking down Gumayusi, taking first blood as Peter flawlessly turns into the Canyon Minion to eat countless tower shots.
We've seen this so many times, and it actually does get old seeing that happen again. Nico turning into the cannon so you can get that passive.
I'm right there with you, Kobe. It does get old.
You can just keep tanking tower shots. This one wasn't too egregious because they didn't have to take quite as many, but they pull off that play. And this was, again, Peter and Cuz playing together. They had linked up and they were looking to counter the mid play. Then after the mid play, they just turn their sights, wrap around towards bottom side of the map, and they find the value there.
Now T1 resetting, putting Guma on the top side, knowing that he needs a bit more time. This is one of the downsides of Sivir. We know her to be this wave clear machine. She can take control of mid. She can empower these dive threats, and she can be a late game carry. But early on, if she falls behind, she doesn't do a lot. T1 trying to get some more resources in Gumayusi's pocket, trying to give him time to stack the coal so that he can be relevant in the fights to come.
And KT are off to another good start here. And for them, I imagine coming in, Scores has talked to them to the early game was great. A lot of the things there went well. We're able to generate a lot of leads across the board. Early dragon stacking plus the grubs, but it was actually following through and not giving T1 any opportunities. We know how much resilience this team has. We've seen them do it again and again and again at Worlds. As a little bit of damage on the door, but he's silent in a 1v2, so he'll be fine. So for KT, that's my test. The objectives early, I trust that they can get, but can they actually keep that pressure up?
And this is one of the advantages of the Sion, right? No real hard CC to interrupt the decimating smash here in that bottom lanes means Perfect can be more at risk when he steps forward to clear. Luckily for him, however, Gumayusi is behind. There's not a lot of damage threat there. And it's Peter playing with fire, roaming into T1 jungles, giving perfect information to Cuz Owner. Might have a false sense of security here. Doesn't have information on Cuz. Peter now committing a little bit more. Q over the wall, the Vault Breaker, immediate route to follow, but Owner going to flash to safety, uses the smite to secure the grubs.
Would you say worth?
I would say definitely worth. I mean, Peter and Cuz, again, we keep on highlighting
No, for Owner, because he got Grom. Yeah, come on, Kobe. You're a jungler.
I'm going to go, yeah, sure, I'll go worth there for Owner, flash for Grom. But honestly, highlighting, Peter and Cuz once again, doing the setup work there for the jungler to come over, and we'll see. Can they actually punish?
And actually, yeah, I love this from T1 because last time it was KT that were set up early in River where they were able to generate some big leads. This time the trap is the opposite. Has made his way onto Guma, but just doesn't have the damage yet. Not enough items yet to actually friend this Sivir, but does get the barrier.
Crucially does get that summoner. It is a small advantage, but it could matter in the next few minutes. T1, as you highlighted, though, get the initial setup, get the initial vision down, so know that they're safe here to take the first Drake of the game. KT with a small gold lead, but T1 balancing it out with this Cloud Drake. Cuz on the top side means no contest to come through, and T1 doing a better job of not giving away too much control in this game, too.
Dragon secured in the aftermath, and now you also get your level 6 here for Owner, so we'll see if they can actually apply that pressure to the mid lane. They did burn BDD's flash, but look at it, it's almost back up here, a quarter of the way to go for BDD, and Cuz is doing the work to get him some extra vision around mid lane, try and bridge that extra little timer, the window where you would be vulnerable to a J4 ultimate.
Might have also been the reason why KT they really didn't want to commit to that fight, because if Owner just ults onto BDD and Faker gets on top of him, like, what do? There isn't really any counterplay for the Mel, who, again, likes to play at range, slowly stack up that passive. Ultimate is available for BDD, so that execute might end up being valuable in the fights to come, and there is that stolen Nico. I think by far the best out of all of those, unless you really want to go for a very specific play with, like, the Vial. But generally, that Nico ult gets so much value. Sylas has many ways to get on top of his opponents. Between his rocket belters, there he goes.
Middle onto Peter, catches the real target carry there for the follow. Flash out from Peter, forced to use the heal as well. And of course, while he's really far away from that ultimate, not having that for the fight when he finally does, that flash is going to be critical.
Yeah, double summoners off of the Nico, off of Peter could be very big. Is going to mean that KT will start up these grubs, though, and Peter heals up off those honey fruit.
And Faker doesn't have his ultimate available, so that might be the reason why T1 is a little bit hesitant. And also, this time, their skirmishing just isn't quite as strong, right? In the previous game, I think that they had so much power there.
BDD.
Not quite the case here.
Getting aggressive, access to the golden clips is there. Wants to reflect a bit of the damage back onto Faker, but not quite in kill range yet. Crucially, though, Faker no flash because of the previous play. Cuz still does have access to that ulti as we hear the farm alarm on the top side. Doran there just in time to clear out the wave.
I like it. We're setting up some of these early fights, or really, I wouldn't call them for the LCK standard. These are fights.
Yeah, it's fair. Early fist fights, an absolute bloodbath. Yes. 1 kill at 9 minutes.
I'm glad you guys are appreciating it with me. That's very nice. But we are seeing
less a war, more of like a telecom skirmish, telecom scouting mission,
a telecom polite, discussion between the two. Oh, you will take Dragon? You will take Grubs. That's very nice. Thank you very much.
Deal. Honestly, though, I think we might be in for a long stretch of farming for Guma.
Yeah.
You talked about it earlier on. The Sivir here does need multiple items to really have that extra pressure, and the team is built around a Sivir Lulu comp here. While there's possibilities elsewhere.
Nice side set from BDD, just barely able to get away. Vault Breaker coming in for Cuz, opts not to flash. The turn back from Owner is solid. Faker now on the way in himself, trying to use the golden clips to keep things going. The Ezreal ulti across the top. BDD grabbing one. Faker will turn it back, but he's under the tower, and it's Cuz to take him down.
And it's the subterfuge from KT. Cuz actually spotted that Owner was there. So BDD says, let's go for the play. He's ready to make sure that Owner and Faker don't get on top of him. And once they do, they're too close to the turret, and it's a big win for KT.
Yeah, nicely done by BDD, flashing under, and then roots Faker under the tower so that they can get the 2-for-1, get the 3 kills here for the Feats of Warfare in the aftermath. And this is even with the beginning of the play is actually quite nice from Owner, because he uses his Unstoppable from Jarvan ultimate to avoid the CC from Cuz as he comes back in. But then Faker into the tower range, and BDD is able to at least root him before he goes down.
And it's BDD starts it up with a two-man route, and then also is the one that secures it. And for me, nothing tells the story of these two players together more than cuz like, BDD, I'll flash. It's fine. I'm going to set you up for that kill. I'm going to make sure you get your execute, and I'm going to make sure that we win this play.
And while earlier on we had about 1,000 gold lead for KT, it hadn't resulted in any major item completion, so the game still felt close. But now it's cuz with the Sundered Sky ahead of schedule, ahead of the next Drake in 1 minute, and that is a massive early game spike.
Cuz again, I mean, he started last game with a really early spike as well. The Wukong, lots of early money, got to the Trinity Force very early on, and it just came down to the Dragon fights where T1 were able to turn around. This time around, though, since they're running the Sivir, and we do kind of project a longer term for T1's kind of attempts at the turnarounds, this probably should be KT with some really comfortable setups. Look at how deep their vision is on the bomb side of the map and attempting another dive.
He's low, but reinforcements, I think, will be on the way, and it looks like the wave is in a position for them to actually make it happen. As Perfect, a little scared there, but Doran can't clear the wave in time. But Faker being this low does mean that Prio is there for KT. Does have TP, but they're not letting him.
No mana for Dokdom, still advancing forward, knowing that he has Peter behind him to cover. Will now retreat. Tension starts to fade, top side, the TP coming back from Doran, checking in on the sums. Obviously no flash for BDD, no flash for Cuz. Owner's flash available, could be big in the coming fights. Completed items for both sides, jungle mid.
Oh, this is big though, because Doran at the TP top, he can use his ultimate to join the fight, but Perfect actually finishes the Titanic Hydra, and thanks to the proxy, will be trying to arrive as soon as possible, even without TP available.
No vision control of the pit. A finally award is dropped, but it might not matter. Peter with flash available.
There's the ult.
Cuz off to the side. Ulti from Doran's not going to catch anybody, but it might have zoned KT away enough. Doran likely to give his life here, but the Drake already down in favor of T1. On the hunt, Pop. Perfect tunneling out to safety. T1 got what they came for. They're going to make a hasty retreat. They don't want the 5v5. Content trading that ulti of Doran for the Drake.
We'll see if they're able to get anything out of it, or if that is just going to be it. KT don't expend any major cooldowns. I think BDD and Dokdom we're going to have to TP regardless. We'll get Doran's ult, but that's not really enough. The Prio will continue with 2 Drakes early for T1. Definitely a big win.
Yeah, nice setup, and then, as you say, Doran coming down. Good ultimate from him to zone them off, secure it.
Ulti to cancel carry is reset. Dokdom going to push one more wave. Likely has the Trinity Force in base, but just wants to deny a few more resources from Guma, who has done a good job of evening out what was an early game deficit. Has picked up the Essence Reaver, can essentially infinitely wave clear in mid if he's able to access that creep wave.
What do you see Dokdom shoving this wave? Looking for his base. Trinity Force will be ready for the Ezreal. 1 item spikes to come through for every member of KT. Close to for T1 as well. Really only waiting for Doran. Neither support has that yet, as in about a minute, this Herald fight, I think, going to be a big breaking point. And we'll see if T1 needs to fight. I do again want to echo T1. I don't think you need to fight this, but knowing them, I think it's fairly likely that they will.
Would be fun to watch for sure. Trinity Force spike for Dokdom, definitely very big here, so we expect KT to go set up towards that side of the map fairly quickly here. Only 45 seconds left on the clock, so they're going to transition their extra resources over this way. Dokdom and Peter here first control the mid wave, and then wait for Cuz to rotate.
Keeping good pressure, of course, that Trinity Force completed is big. Hard for Guma to step up, even with the shielding that Keria can provide. Luckily for them, at least, Guma has the red buff, a bit of extra sustain. The battle over mid-prio has begun. Remember in game 1, it was Guma on the lethality bars, infinitely pushing mid-waves that made so much of KT trying to advance that lead feel pretty impossible.
This time it's Dokdom that can do it into 1v2, right? Being Ezreal, being really hard to punish. I also want to echo, last game it was the Poppy. This time for Keria, on the Lulu, offensively, he doesn't get to have nearly as much agency, but he can kind of fulfill the same role. And Cuz is currently sitting on the biggest individual lead we have in the game. If he goes in too aggressively, and he gets hit by either the Poppy W, he gets ulted on, and, you know, gets knocked in the air by a Wild Grove, he needs to be very careful about how he picks his fights, because again, T1, there's only 2 big carries, but this early on, the damage is still there. BDD.
BDD potentially caught out. Layering into CC a little bit off. BDD unstoppable for a brief moment, ready to use the ulti, but Faker is stolen one away. The goal in the clips with the follow-up is there from Peter. Makes it a 1-for-1. Vaultbreaker coming in. Faker just CC'd for an eternity. The Kingslayer healing not available in time as Cuz is on a killing spree.
So T1's idea was to make the quick play before the Rift Herald fight, but KT, they close the trap, they get 2 back for themselves, and the teleport from Doran does signal they want something.
I need to be
Doran
careful.
Tower going to fall. Likely not enough damage to kill Doran, but at least zoning him away as they set their sights on the objective. Herald already started. Cuz will secure it uncontested.
I did get tricked by Peter being Mel there. I'm like, oh, 11, good amount of... No, they don't have damage. The play still works out, though, very nicely for KT. They get Doran's TP, they're able to get topside turret, and Herald, this time there's no Taliyah in the game. That mid lane turret feels like it's sure to fall. And whereas last time, KT wasn't able to actually break the game, it feels like this time they're closer than they were able to in game 1 as this turnaround and the reinforcements for KT were beautiful.
Again, T1, they want to go after BDD. They want to take down the star player there for KT. But it is the rest of the team that assembles and they get there in time. T1 knew that KT were trying to do vision setup work over by the Rift Herald. So they knew they had to make that play really quickly. But being unable to do so means that not only do they lose the extra kill, but they also lost the objective. So now Rift Herald Eyeball in Cuz's inventory will allow KT to really press this lead. That thing basically is going to guarantee you another tower, and they can truly open up this gold lead.
Owner doing what he can with the standard to regain control of vision. And I gotta say, BDD has been really solid on the Mel. The use of the rebuttal to buy time has made what should be an easy kill combo of this Jarvan paired with the Sylas really just take far too long to finish off what should be a very vulnerable control mage.
And when Faker and Owner are trying to attack him and they dive these towers, he's getting roots off on them under tower aggro.
Of course, Cuz is the big beneficiary when it comes to those kills, though. 1.2k individual lead, BDD from the assists, and a bit of a farm advantage. Holding on to a decent lead of his own, has opted for a bit of healing reduction. Going to make things that much harder for Owner and Faker as the charge comes through.
And last time, this was the point where T1 turned the game. The lead this time is bigger for KT, but I think T1 don't want to let them get this dragon, want to get Soulpoint themselves.
Faker's ulti available. Needs to hijack the ulti of Peter. Chip really starting to hurt onto Doran. Catch over the wall onto Cuz, the most fed member. They're immediately going to delete him, and the rest of KT trying to pull the trigger, but they can't quite find the angle. BDD, Doctum, they've got the range advantage. Peter waiting to peel for them if necessary. Perfect. Spots them in the darkness. The Tremor Sense showing him what he needs to see, but they've stopped moving or have moved out of range. He can't be certain now. The Q from Doran moving in. Peter still gets the ulti. It's a golden eclipse from BDD. A new dawn for KT in game 2, but T1 are unconcerned. Guma, Keria standing, the bot lane. Will it be enough? BDD trying to buy her back, but it's Gumayusi.
Fearlessly advancing, ricocheting, tearing through the dreams of KT. Guma with the moves at the end. He gets the extra kills and cleans up for T1.
And Keria, I think he got the timing there on the polymorph perfectly as Faker with a blind chain. The follow-up is immediate, but the most important members on KT are still alive.
That play.
As we will take a look here as they attempt to turn onto Peter. And even though it doesn't quite work out, I think Doran was looking for the flash ult. Peter gets the ult off, which allows BDD to dish out damage. But watch here, Owner's low, and Perfect can't use his ult. If he stays alive, if he's able to get the execute, maybe that could have been enough.
So close, and then the Glitter Lance slows Doctum.
Another fight breaking out in the meantime. Guma potentially caught out Cuz, looking for a bit of revenge. Owner doesn't quite make it over the wall with the flag and drag, but the ball breaker taking him to safety, and Gumayusi does not care. Look at that record at the bottom of your screen. He might have faltered in the early game. He might have been behind in game 1 and game 2, but this man is a team-fighting demon. The dragon starting to fall. Turn back from Faker as he catches out Doctum. Cuz there to try and peel, but it is too late. Owner moving in. A Cataclysm across the top side. Perfectly canceled. BDD flashing over the wall. Gumayusi still living. Perfect on the chase. Peter wants to fire back. Cuz running for the hills. 2 down on the side of T1. But Guma might be enough. Perfect gets the bite.
tears right through him, and now it's Owner picked off as well. KT fighting for their lives. BDD still standing, crucially. The extra damage. Doran set to fall. A double kill for the KT mid laner.
And BDD stands supreme on the Mel. Stays alive through it all. And that is going to be the Otacon.
BDD said in the trailer that he was inspired to become a mid laner by Faker's play, and he was inspired to pick Mel in this game by Faker, and he's dominating on the Mel. Clutches it back up, and it's after a huge play from Faker, but BDD is able to use the ultimate to snipe him at the end.
And it's an overplay here. T1 try to force the hand. They waited in game one, but they're not actually able to get on top of BDD, who flashes over the pit, and then Peter ensures that Perfect can get on top of Guma, and all the while BDD just stacking up the passive, getting the damage down, and this is a really crucial team fight win here for KT.
The funniest part to me is that while BDD was chasing down the last of those kills, Cuz was actually just doing blue buff.
He was almost dead.
He was like, you guys got this. He's going to steal away the blue buff.
You got it, buddy.
Yep. They also grab the dragon in the aftermath. So KT retaking this team fight really is meaningful. They put a stop to the T1 dragon stacking.
And you can see how team fights go wrong for T1. Even though Gumayusi's been allowed to live for so long in these fights, if Doran and Owner don't quite have the damage to finish these kills, it's really hard for Guma to get in position to follow up, to chase down here. He has so many members of this team to work through, and T1, despite the deficit, have been fighting very well, but KT clearly upping their game in this draft and in this performance in game 2.
And that's one of the issues that we did see with the Sylas, right? Because you have this hyper carry in Gumayusi, who has the backup of the Lulu as well. But Faker, he's very cooldown gated, and he has been falling behind thus far, has been going for a lot of plays. And as we all know, Faker ain't no coward. He's going to keep going for those plays. But he does need to line up with the rest of his team. And I think that his role, particularly as we get deeper into the game, needs to be one of a little bit more restrained. Because the damage from Doran and Owner is going to become less and less relevant as the game goes on.
Gumayusi, the hope for T1 to carry a lot of the DPS for later on. I still think some of these looks from Faker have been good looks as far as the initial pick, but the counterplay from KT has been so good, especially in that last one, grabbing the extra kills. And now you're looking at BDD over a 2,000 individual gold lead and trying to create his death cap right now. As soon as BDD gets death cap, this Mel is already obliterating people. It is just going to delete members of T1.
Already has that XP advantage too. And this is something that it's just going to make the game so difficult for T1 because, yes, diving on the Mel is good, but if you make one mistake, we've seen he's already able to turn these fights with his damage, and that number's only going to be going up.
We're also seeing the lack of mid lane turret actually being really rough for T1, right? You need to play so much safer, especially because your support is Lulu. You don't really have the ability to just go in and face check, really easily regain control. You always need a bodyguard. You need someone to make sure. And this is, for me, also a great opportunity to really shout out Perfect, because I think we've seen, as we highlighted coming in, Rek'Sai has been both great and very mediocre. I don't think thus far he has been able to find the backline axes as Cousin Faker wants teammates going to take a glance at one another. Nothing's going to happen now. But the Otacon already taken by KT. Their next site's going to be on either the Baron in a minute or that Dragon, second Drake for them. Coming up in about 2 minutes.
Neither side at Soul Point quite yet, although T1 certainly would love to be set up for it, especially with that Sivir just continuing to scale. How durable those team members could become, but Baron, more important, 43 seconds, Perfect trying to push in this wave. A lot of damage to finish that tower up, and now makes it pretty easy. It's just such a goofy champ.
It is.
You want a fist fight, he just tunnels away.
I just hope that jungle Rek'Sai doesn't get nerfed for all this top lane Rek'Sai.
This is what you have to accept.
That we're seeing from the pros.
It's collateral damage,
Be
Kobe.
happy that she's played, okay? Having a great time, tunneling away, getting the turrets.
That's how Kobe felt about Volibear, and then look what they did to Volibear. It got nerfed.
You want to talk about it?
I do not. What I want to talk about is what you guys brought up earlier, and it is the supporting cast for BDD on this team, because it is so heartwarming hearing the interviews from all of the KT members talking about how they want to perform well for BDD so that he can shine the brightest. Peter especially talking about he really wants it for BDD because BDD deserves it. And so we've seen a lot of, the Nico play, him still just getting off Nico ultimate as he's about to die, trying to get these setup plays. Those double roots between him and BDD have been very critical. Now, though, Doran is looking at Doctom.
Doctom, unaware of the Scion, but knows that he has relative safety. Has to be careful about walking forward towards that brush. And Doran perfectly placed and baited Doctom. Far too confident.
Doran lying in wait makes Scion look like an assassin here. Walks into the charged up Q, and that is the perfect play.
Such a good sell there as well, but KT, they're turning the tables on them.
Wyatt.
Start the sneak.
Wyatt.
Oh, no. I think they're safe. There you go. They're aware.
Now they spot it, but how quickly are they taking it? It's a Mel with a death cap.
We don't know. Look at where Owner is.
Now ready to turn back, but still Cuz continues to hit the target. BDD ready to clear the wave. Doran not afraid to walk up. He knows they don't really have the damage to finish the kill.
Doran smells it.
Cuz 9K, but he is determined to take this objective. The blast shield keeping him relatively healthy. BDD poking off to the side. Gumayusi for now uncontested. Rebuttal already used. 4 seconds till Doctom is up and available, and he has the TP.
I actually love this stall from KT. They're able to deny the soul point.
Pulling away T1 from that dragon for now. Doran is going to go back for his recall. He was the one with the watchful eye staring at them at the Baron. KT, though, as you say, they're going to teleport right down to that dragon and start it themselves.
And I think it makes sense that T1 gives it up because looking at the spikes, Guma didn't have his eye, just now finishes it, and BDD did have his death cap. So fighting just before, really your main hyper carry has that crucial throw item breakpoint. Definitely not the right call, but it's really the confidence of KT to say, hey, you killed Doctom, that's fine, we're going to put some pressure. So he finishes the Serpent's Fang, which against Lulu and Scion, going to get a ton of value.
And now we get to see the critical point. Can the Sivir with 3 items outplay this KT, dive plus Mel damage? Because Mel has very long range. Sivir, while she does do well in team fights later on and can ricochet and make use of Lulu very well, sometimes it is hard to play around longer range champions like Mel poke damage and Ezreal poke damage here. So have to be cognizant both of the engages from the Nico as well as dodging a lot of skill shots.
And again, we're looking at Guma to be the difference. Doctom has really been kind of silenced by the attention that T1 had paid to him, by his own misstep in the mid lane. At 3 items matching Sivir isn't really where you want to be on the Ezreal. Has gone for the Serpent's Fang, but in the face of crit itemization, it's going to be so hard to match the damage that Sivir is bringing to the table.
Everyone holding their breath for the next team fight to see if KT can turn this gold lead into a team fight victory for one of these critical objectives. Baron is on the map. Scuttle Crabs have transformed. They can pop this and then immediately clear out the rest of the vision and then try and draw T1 over.
I love it when, we talk about these players, like, oh man, they're doing so, and then you look at the demo charts, like, yeah, that tracks. This to me is a breaking point for the world's title. If KT are unable to actually take this game, you're going down 0-2 against the most successful org of all time. That's perfect. Will get spotted, but is Rek'Sai, so should be okay for now. But for KT, they haven't been able to really break the game. This gold lead has, I think it was the height, like maybe 4.5K. It's kind of been stymied, and it will all just come down to do you kill Guma, yes or no? And with both sums up, with a Scion, with a maybe defensive ult from Faker, if he can get that Nico ult, and Keria, it's going to be easier said than done.
Absolutely. Game 1, it felt like 2 to 3K gold lead. This game, 4.5, as you said. If that's not enough to close, you start to wonder if any lead really is. T1 have not played flawlessly. Faker and Owner over pushing a bit. It's what's given BDD this massive lead on top of, being able to play those side lanes so well. But now level 16 for BDD. He has the tools. He has the damage to carry these fights. But can all of KT execute together? Because T1 thus far in the series have just been playing the team fights better.
It all comes down to this. The final series of the year for League of Legends. Can KT make their stand? They've got vision on Baron. Currently, I believe we're just awaiting the Guardian Angel completions. It should be very similar for both Owner as well as Cuz, but it's just such a huge breakpoint for junglers, both of them being the heavy engage. And so then we'll get to see at the next dragon, the confrontation here, or if someone is able to maneuver some vision around the Baron, He's got a lot of tunnels available to him.
Nothing gonna happen for now. And maybe both teams don't want to run the risk of just starting Baron, right, with the amount of damage available on either side. KT, though, definitely going to play for vision here, and their damage, if BDD is there with the W from Cuz, definitely can do a lot of denting to that Baron.
TP up towards the mid lane, coming in from Doran. T1 seemingly ready and willing to force the fight here. They have bot push in their favor. They know Perfect must respond, so they have a brief window of opportunity to take control of the pit.
Interesting breakpoint, too, because Cuz finished this Guardian Angel, but Oner did not. So they have one extra life here for KT for the moment. Doesn't look like T1 are going to give them much just yet.
And because of the lack of soul point, both teams can actually just go for Baron. If the other one over-invests onto a Camtech soul, I do think that this is one of those games where particularly T1 will get a crazy amount of value out of it. Both the shielding and the amount of help that's available, the healing, as Cuz walks in. Will just steal away that buff.
Takes the blue buff. Bot wave pushed in favor of KT. Top wave pushed in favor of T1. Dokdom using the Ezreal ulti to try to get control of the wave, but the angle's a little bit off. Shouldn't matter too much. Mystic Shot still giving him the range advantage over Guma. Area healing up as he does get sniped by it. Well caught, Chronicler. Of course, and this is the point of the game where, as much as I would love to tell you that the center of your screen matters, this is really just about the mini-map. It's about the pushing waves. It's about who can find these little advantages. Good news for KT, getting that TP out of Doran, holding on to Perfect's TP for themselves, but they need to get more if they want to be favored in this fight.
GA's done. The third item for Faker also has a stopwatch BDD. Not a full completion quite yet, as there is perfect vision set up and the waves are pushed. So KT should be feeling good about setting up this dragon.
Ooh, the Lord Doms just got completed by Guma as well. Big power boost here. 4-item Sivir.
Sneaking it. Oh, they're calling the bluff. They know.
Full committing. T1 now turning to Baron. They don't want to risk the contest here. Oner starting the objective. As you get into the fight, keep your eyes on the key carries, Guma and BDD. If either one falls, their team very likely to win the fight. Interrupt there. The Baron not very quick. Chemtech Drake down. Soul point there. Might just come down to the 50-50. Cuz on the way. T1 tried to make the counterplay, but walk away empty-handed.
The poke damage is really good from KT. The double range advantage we talk about with Ezreal, with the Mel here, finding a lot of success.
The Serpent's Fang as well. And KT just called their bluff. They're like, normal teams, they see T1 start Baron, like, okay, we have to, because you know they'll commit. But KT, cognizant of the amount of damage that T1 has, and it's simply not enough, as the soul point of this Camtech soul now secured for KT.
And really double value out of that, because not only do they call T1's bluff, Perfect also able to get some pressure down on the opposite side of the map. And this is the map play that we saw from KT in the early game of Game 1, but was sorely lacking in the later stages. That said, T1 constantly on the hunt, waiting, looking for these angles. If KT make one tiny mistake, they're looking to pounce.
T1 now looking to pounce. Dokdom in the river, but he is Ezreal.
Dokdom. Pass over the wall. Peter looking to make a play. Lockdown onto Faker, looking to turn it back. Root is connected as well. Faker's been caught. Buys a brief moment with the Seekers. The rest of T1 retreating. Perfect buying a bit more space, and the tunnel over the wall. It's a heist. He buys the time to take Faker down. Doran with a decimating smash. Peter on the chase. They'll only connect onto one, but it's enough to start the fight in their favor. Gumayushi untouched, but he's now also not able to do any damage. Cuz keeping it going. KT pushing into the jungle of T1, zoning them away from the Baron as they set their sights on that Red Bull Baron power play.
They win the critical fight. They find Faker. They get the advantage, and Perfect is able to escape. Wait a second.
BDD flash. Doran forced to flash back over the wall. Sidestep on the decimating smash. Peter there to cover. Guma can't push for anything else. Doran getting chunked out. That's the ulti to seal it. BDD going godlike. Guma alone in the mid lane. Objective slowly falling. Oner zoned off. Perfect there with the knockup. Needs to lock it down. Oner's not going to have a chance. KT, it takes some time, but they take down the Baron.
In the last game, KT went for a couple of team fights. They didn't go their way, and they didn't get to play the video game. This time, it's restraint. They're waiting patiently, find the opportunity that they needed, as it is the catch onto Faker that sets it all up.
Exactly. The root into Vi combination gets his Zhonya's early. And then here, Perfect at the back. This is one of the best changes they made to Rek'Sai. After using your ult, your W just goes on a 1 second cooldown, so you can then use Tunnel to escape. It adds so much more survivability to the champion, being able to escape. And on the world stage, they show it. Then the rest of KT, after they took down Faker, they could push through for the chase.
I love as well there because maybe I think the rest of T1 could have gone for a play to try and save Faker if it wasn't for Peter also holding the angle there. You can't just walk past the Nico because Peter held his ult, and now the Red Bull Baron power play for KT, 8k, 9k gold lead here, 35 minutes in.
Guma, incredibly far ahead, 4 items, has a bit of lifesteal, can clear the waves, but the range, the threat that KT can bring with the Ezreal, with Mel, from BDD, 11, 3, and 3. 3,000 individual gold lead. His first competitive game looking damn good. Faker going golden. The second the chains miss, he doesn't want to push for anything else. Ball break over the wall from Cuz, ready to go, but he's not going to overextend because the mid lane's already falling. KT taking their sweet time with this one, knowing that T1 have one shot to turn this back in their favor.
It's just Guma. He's just a Sivir trying his best, but KT doesn't give him the opportunity to do any damage.
Perfect continuing to push, has access to the tunnel to escape. He's just been a thorn in the side of this T1 lineup. So many Rek'Sais haven't been able to find this level of performance, but Perfect has been a nightmare for T1 to manage. Waiting now off on the side. Takes out the control ward. A single empowered cannon minion pushing as another wave stands behind KT, ready to keep the siege going.
The siege is unrelenting from KT. The Baron buff still buffing up the cannon. The poke damage still coming through.
Owner faking the engagement, throws down the flag, misses with the Q to ensure that he doesn't go too far forward. KT don't quite break open that bot lane inhibitor.
Looks like instead they're going to base. They still have perfect timing here on the Baron. That sets up for the Chemtech Soul. That's what they're going to play towards. Mid lane inhibitor, not the best one. Faker might actually get his death cap, which would be a colossal spike for him to get. I just don't know if they're going to have an opportunity to actually contest, as, again, Perfect to me has been playing on the edge of these engages so nicely this entire game.
And the other thing to remember is that Faker had taken away Peter's ultimate in the previous fight. Now, of course, has access to the cease and desist. Now wants to make the play onto Perfect. Perfect able to get the Blast Cone out, that Mega Blast Cone, keeping him healthy. KT standing strong, poking T1 as they walk into this choke point. BDD waiting for some of those major cooldowns to be used before he takes a step forward. Mega Blast Cone getting 2 members of T1 over the wall. KT retreating back down to the bottom lane as Cuz starts the objective. Flag there, spots the objective play. Faker on the flank. Perfect not going to give him the angle. KT starting to retreat, starting to get forced backwards. Doran to kick things off. Peter to look for the interrupt. Faker using an ulti of his own to be stolen away. BDD taking out of the fight. But down goes Guma. Cuz making it work, but PD's owned away by Keria. And all of KT now collapsing on the T1 support. At the end of the day, it is only Owner, and he cannot stop the Soul.
KT get the Soul, and they want the Nexus too!
Perfect continues to push down. They've learned, they've adapted, they've stayed strong in the face of the game 1 loss. KT firing back against T1, but do they have the power to end the game? Another TP, Doctum on the way. Doran giving everything to clear the waves. Owner and Keria here. Surely the Ezreal is enough, but the creeps are falling back. Doran remains standing. T1 are not out of it yet. Doctum needs more, and he cannot get it.
Guma's up in 10 seconds. The reinforcements from T1 will arrive.
The T1 will cling on to this game. No Baron up minions means that KT, even with the damage dealers dead, does not get the opportunity to actually end. And T1 battered, but they'll get one more shot to try and deny KT a chance to equalize the series.
The roller coaster keeps going up. So look at BDD trying to kite Owner and Doran on the bottom side. Meanwhile, Peter had the massive engage, which allowed Cuz and Perfect to go kill off the Sivir.
And with Sivir taken out of the fight, really the only one is Faker, and he was caught by that counter engage. And with even BDD going down, doesn't matter if you don't have your own damage dealers. As in about a minute, the Baron will come up, 2 inhibs are down, and KT looking to equalize the series here as Doctum hits full items.
Full build there. Full build for Guma. Now has the lifesteal. 100% crit chance. If he has the space to work, he can do the necessary damage. Death Cap's still a little bit of a ways away for Faker. Likely he recalls and finishes it here. But in the previous fight, did have the Pot Blossom, but couldn't find that big angle. Couldn't find that big moment to shift the fight in the favor of T1.
And the timer is great for KT because it's the bot lane inhib that is still down for another 3.5 minutes. Mid lane, not that valuable, especially against the Sivir, but that bot lane needs to be answered or it can just straight up end the game.
Patience, the name of the game for KT. They don't need to take any risks. We've seen the players, they've gotten overeager in game one. They've made some of those fumbles. Dom getting caught in the mid lane just earlier this game. But the push is in their favor. The map is in their favor. They don't need to risk anything. And still, they'll take their time walking into the jungle. This time around, Doran won't be able to find the blind decimating smash. But the ulti to kick things off, he connects onto the wall. Perfect waiting on the back line. Doctum untouched. BDD untouched. Doran straying way too far forward in a moment of miscommunication. Down goes the top laner of T1. KT start the Baron.
That face plant means Baron, boys. It was always going to be a Hail Mary from T1 if they wanted to get back in this game, but that one does not hit the mark. That's Baron, the second one for KT.
When we talk about T1 hitting a wall, I didn't expect it to be so literal. KT now push on the top side.
Got him good there. 18 out of 20 for that one.
Perfect score, some would say. Perfect himself, of course, has the Randuin's available, or doesn't have it available, but has the slow. The crit damage reduction makes him such a nightmare for Guma to deal with, even with the armor penetration from the Lord Dominik's. KT again in this position where they keep that long-range siege going. BDD not showing on vision yet. The last inhib tower falling down. Inhibitors following after. T1, a last desperate hold here in game two. If they can turn it back, it takes them to match point, but KT set to even up the series in the 2025 World Finals. Doran isolating Cuz. Peter going forward, finds three with the knockup. Perfect there to fall, but Faker turns it right back and knocks down Peter. Doctom, BDD, still standing. Baguma! He's shredding through everybody! The Sivir finally allowed to take over the fight, but they managed to take him. Faker still alive in the scrappy fight. The extra healing is making all the difference. Doctom doesn't quite have the damage that he needs. KT holding on for dear life. Doctom able to find the kill. Perfect. Cuz Doctom falls. A final hold for T1. It almost turns in their favor. But Perfect is going to end the game. Guma dies, and so does T1. KT even up the series.
And I can't believe I'm saying this, but Perfect, reliable as all hell in this game, doesn't go down. Deals the damage, and with the alpaca thumbs up, brings KT to 1-1.
KT resilient on this stage. They bounce back in game number two. They create such a lead, but it still seems so difficult, you know, brick by brick, piece of gold by piece of gold. KT, they have defeated T1 in the second game to even up the series.
It's incredible, incredible stuff. But before we talk about that game and what's ahead in the series, we saw him in the opening ceremony. Now let's check out the world debut of Zahan. Take a look.
incredible debut. Zahin just made his mark on the League of Legends universe. And joining me right now is Paul Beleza, executive producer for League of Legends.
What's up?
Welcome.
Thank you.
I feel like it's our yearly catch-up.
Yeah,
of the
it's our
Destiny Worlds
one-on-one
finals.
here.
How are you doing?
I'm great.
Yeah,
that match was incredible.
I know.
They're both in it. We're having a series. It's going to be great.
I'm sorry you had to witness what a KT fan is live, but talking about what we've seen so far, the stage looks sick, the finals is sick. What did you think about the opening ceremony?
I thought it was incredible. I mean, like, there was just everything kind of came together, right? And then the music and just the storytelling that we've been building up all year is fucking cool.
All right, Paul, tell me, what was the vision behind the newest champion that we just
So, as you can kind of see, right, this whole theme's been building towards sacrifice and this kind of doing the right thing, this kind of moment where you have to be brave. And so that's very much a human moment. I think Zahin and Zin kind of coming together for that is all about this transformation. And we really wanted to create something that was awe-inspiring and just kind of get you in the feels. And we're just humbled to be able to debut that to everybody here.
I love hearing this. One of the big questions, though, whenever a champion is going to be released, is the speculations online. Where is it going to be played? What is the goal for this champion? Tell me more about the kid.
So this guy's a top laner. He's a fighter. He's a bruiser. And he's really all about auto-attacking. So the more he's auto-attacking, the more that damage is going to increase, the more he's going to be able to sustain. And that's very much of a Darkin. He's a kind of good guy Darkin. So he's still good, dangerous. And the more he gets up and close to you, the more he has chances to stay alive. He has a revive. So we're really excited about that. I think he's going to be a lot of fun and just bring something new to the space.
When is it dropping live?
PBE tomorrow.
Okay.
And then we're going to have him out on 25.23. 25.23.
Exciting. Now, Paul, thank you for joining me. Before I let you go, do you have any closing thoughts for the fans here in the arena? And also maybe venturing a prediction. 1-1 right now. What do you expect?
I want 5 games.
All right.
I want 5 games. I want to see KT stay hungry, right? Keep it calm, keep it cool, and then do what they got to do. But, you know, if T1 does what they do, we'll be fine with that too. But, you know, it's always nice to see some fresh faces do good work.
Closing thoughts for the fans here who are watching finals?
This has been such an incredible world. I've met so many players here in China, and they're so passionate and lovely, and just like we're all bonded by this League of Legends experience. It's been humbling. I love it.
Paul, it was amazing catching up with you again. Enjoy this Telecom War, and thank you so much. And that's all for us here for now. We will be right back for Game 3 in just a couple minutes. The Telecom War is on. Let's see what happens.
The Dragon starting to fall. Turn back from Faker as he catches out Doc Dom. Cuz there to try and peel, but it is too late. Owner moving in. The Cataclysm across the top side. Perfectly canceled. PDD flashing over the wall. Gumayusi still living. Perfect on the chase. Peter wants to fire back. Cuz running for the hills. 2 down on the side of T1. But Guma might be enough. Perfect. Gets the bite. Tears right through him, and now it's Owner picked off as well. KT fighting for their lives. BDD still standing crucially. The extra damage. Doran set to fall. A double kill for the KT mid laner.
And BDD stands supreme on the medal. For your lives, the rest of T1 begin to collapse. Faker's going to fall. And Faker still stands. He has the unkillable. Hey, everybody!
Demacia, now and forever.
was a player, if I was to like make a misplay, maybe it's my mouse, maybe it's my armrest, something feels wrong. If you were at home, you wouldn't do that.
The Infinite Precision Armrest is part of the larger Circulab on Stage standard initiative, aimed to bring your home or training room settings to the tournament stage.
이제 저뿐만 아니라 다른 선수들도 세팅을 더 원활하게 할 것 같고
가장 편안할 때 더 강력한 플레이가 자연스럽게 나옵니다.
Red Bull gives you wings.
I wanna love it so medicinal. Gets me high just thinking about it. Get even higher when the two of us are in the same room. I wanna love it's horticultural, plant magical,
KT fight and get one back. 1-1 between T1 and KT in our grand final, meaning we get at least 4 games. I'm so incredibly happy. KT, they had honestly good starts to both games, but I want to take a look at this following HyperX Reflex replay where Peter just gets the 3-man root after he ults.
The patience that was demonstrated by Peter first to hold on to the E to make sure that he could lock down Faker to find that initial pick. But then keep track of this man as we follow up in the ensuing team fight, because he's going to utilize Doran to punish the backline of T1. Doran desperately trying to help his team escape, acting as that front line, and there the root gets the extended range, connects onto 2, which sets up for KT to run T1 down and win the deciding team fight of this game.
Yeah, and I really want to call out, as we take a look at Peter's Pot Blossom step back extension again, also perfect at the beginning of the fight to kind of set it up. ending up zoning off 4 people. I actually thought he very quietly had a pretty strong game on this Rek'Sai.
Quietly, did you see the end of that game?
I did.
If it wasn't for Perfect, perhaps we'd be telling a different story, and I think it's so cool that it is Peter and Perfect. Of course, we're going to highlight more, right? But these were some of the question marks. They've had an amazing Worlds run. Can they replicate that in the grand final, Emily? So far, yes.
One of the biggest thing is we talked after game 1 about where do KT need to step it up. They need to step up their coordination in these team fights. We just saw from that play that we ran how their coordination is working. And I also want to point out, KT's early games have been really, really strong, and it begins and ends with Cuz.
I mean, the whole early game, the way in which they're gaining control through making proactive players on the map, the fact that Cuz is punishing everywhere across the board is really exciting to see, and it comes back to those players as well. We're seeing resources being given to Perfect in the top lane. We're seeing those ganks working alongside Peter to make early game action happen. And the fact that these players are stepping up on the biggest stage, there's always the question of nerves in an environment like this, especially playing against a team that's so experienced, they're so familiar with this stage. But again, it just feels like these players are as comfortable as they can be.
They're super comfortable, and I've loved their early game plans too, right? From level 1, you can see how they're trying to play super, super aggressively. I really loved how they played around the bot lane, and I also love the way that both Cuz and Peter are working together to set up these early games.
We talked so much about Cuz and BDD coming into this World's Finals side by side, and Vetty, you have a lot of good things to say about this jungler.
Absolutely I do, because you're completely right that the two together are really kind of the foundation of what keeps this engine moving. Cuz provides that early game impact, and then BDD, we saw him at the end of that game running with 12 kills on the Mel, providing the damage that his team needs to win out on these team fights. But especially Cuz, for me, was a big surprise, because we talked about how Oner is this staple, this stalwart for T1. To go up against him and have these type of early game performances very much surprised me.
Absolutely stellar, and I feel for the KT story, right? If you go down here 2-0, reverse sweep is incredibly difficult, but they kept pushing, and I feel like that is one of the hardest things to do, Emily, versus T1 specifically at Worlds, not to mention in the World Finals.
Yeah, exactly. The resiliency of this KT team, not just today, but especially in the Gen G series, has really, really impressed me, especially after watching them kind of biff it domestically sometimes when the pressure was on, right? So I think the big thing that I really love to see out of these two games, like Betty already said, it's Cuz, the way he's setting up these early games, it's the way that Cuz and Peter are working together, and also Peter and Perfect really stepping up in fights.
Now, T1 will have their first opportunity on the blue side. That does mean they get a little bit more agency and control when it comes to deciding the draft itself. But I love that KT has already taken away the Nico. We talked about how for Carrier, this was going to be an absolute